It's in me or is it not?
Don't even go to. Good morning.
Board members online, are you able to hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, this is Board Member Stratton. I can hear you.
Oh, have we started recording? Dan, you can just wink at me when you're ready. What? No, there we go. That's it. Thanks for the wink. Good morning, everyone. We are going to go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence, and then we will have a roll call. So if everybody could please stand. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United
of the States of
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So just a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. For board members that are in person, there is a microphone directly in front of you. When the mic is red, or when the light is red, the mic is not live. Please click on the mic when you would like to talk. The mic will turn green and then you can speak. Once you are done speaking, please push the mic again so that it turns red. For board members participating via Zoom, please stay on mute. If you wish to speak, please push the hand icon to indicate you would like to speak. This will help Dan or me see that you have something to say, and then we will make sure that we call on you. For charters or applicants on the agenda that are participating via Zoom, likewise, please stay muted until your item is called. Once your item is called, board staff will introduce the item, and then we will call on you to address the board. At that time, you may unmute yourselves. And finally, for charters and applicants on the agenda participating in person, this also goes for anyone who has would like to speak to the board. Please make sure that you come up to the podium and make sure that the mic is green so that you can speak. Specifically for charters or applicants on the agenda that are participating in person, board staff will provide brief introductions for you and answer any questions board members have. And then I will ask the representatives to go ahead and speak. And with that, Ashley, can we get a roll call, please?
President Monteith,
Present.
Vice President Close,
Here.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Present.
Miss Barr, here, Dr. Crockett,
Present.
Miss Foster,
Present.
Miss Jones,
Present.
Mr. Ruiz,
here.
Mr. Snyder,
Here.
Mr. Stratton,
Present.
Mr. Swanson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Fantastic. All right, on to Superintendent Designee Miller with the superintendent's report.
Hi, good morning. Nice to see everybody. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to attend virtually because we had a special celebration here. Every day is a good day to celebrate our educators, but today especially is a special day for teachers as Teacher Appreciation Day. So in that, I wanted to share a couple of great quotes about the magic of teaching. This first one's by Helen Keller. What do I consider a teacher should be? One who breathes life into knowledge so that it takes new form in progress and in civilization. And the next quote is an unknown, but a good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. So I've been very blessed and fortunate to know incredible educators, and I thank all of our teachers and all of those that work so hard to support our kids. That concludes the superintendent's report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think everybody on the board echoes that statement. And moving on to agenda item E, Executive Director's Report with Ashley.
Good morning, President Monteith, Vice President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and members. I'd like to provide you with an update on contract approvals I've approved under my authority and school visits completed since our meeting in April. I have approved 38 amendments. These amendments are more technical in nature and involve updates to charter holder contracts, such as changes to instructional days and school governance. Additionally, board staff has completed 45 interval reviews, and there were 24 on-site visits completed, which include both standard pop-in visits and specialized accountability visits. Then moving on to legal actions and updates. As a brief status update on current enforcement and consent agreement matters, there are no issues to report, but board staff continues to work to finalize agreements with strength building partners, Valley Learning Foundation of Arizona, Liberty Traditional School, Inc., and Cortez Park Charter Middle School. And then moving on to our legislative update. We are currently deep in the midst of budget negotiations between the legislature and the governor's office. While some bills were moved completely through the legislative process and were either signed or vetoed by the governor had issued a moratorium on bill signing until the legislature produced a budget that can be negotiated. State Republicans have approved a proposed state budget for FY27 for the governor's consideration that does include a 5% reduction to most agency budgets, including our office. While this proposed cut, combined with prior year's reductions, may have some impact on our operations, importantly, no currently employed staff will be affected and our operations will continue strongly. It is also important to know that that budget proposal does conform with H.R. 1 and the federal budget reconciliation package known as One Big Beautiful Bill. The budget will head to the governor, which negotiations may continue. Legislative session usually concludes quickly following the completion of budget negotiations and subsequent budget adoption. We will continue to monitor developments in budget negotiations and bill movement in the coming weeks and keep the board updated on the progress. And then moving on to our Student Advisory Council update, I'm going to turn it over to Alyssa.
Good morning, President Montier, Vice President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and board members. I am pleased to provide the final update for the ASBCS Student Advisory Council for the 2025-2026 school year. This year's Student Advisory Council cohort has been highly engaged. The council is designed to elevate student voice by providing a structured opportunity for Arizona charter school students to share perspectives, contribute ideas, and engage meaningfully with board initiatives and priorities. As we conclude the year, we recognize that 3 of our 5 members are graduating seniors. We extend our sincere appreciation for their commitment, leadership, and contributions to the council. Their engagement has helped strengthen the connection between students and the board's work, and we wish them continued success in their future academic and professional endeavors. During the month of April, Student Advisory Council members worked diligently to curate content for and contributed to the May edition of the board's community newsletter. This edition will be the final edition for the 25-26 school year, and the 26-27 cohort will resume working on the community newsletter in the fall. Our final Student Advisory Council meeting of the school year will take place on May 6, 2026. We are especially honored that board member Dr. Carol Crockett will be joining the students during this meeting to share her experiences and insights as a board member, and will also share with them on the topic of leadership. Her discussion with them will build on the Student Advisory Council experiences and encourage them to consider how their leadership can shape future decision-making. We are grateful for Dr. Crockett's time and engagement with our students. Looking ahead, the application for the 2026-2027 Student Advisory Council cohort is now open and available on the board's website under Current Initiatives tab. The Student Advisory Council provides participants with opportunities to offer feedback and perspective directly to board staff, collaborate on initiatives such as the community newsletter and outreach efforts, and engage with peers across the state and build leadership skills. We encourage students from Arizona charter schools who will be in grades 10 through 12 during the 2026-27 school year to apply. The application will remain open through May 29th, 2026, with interviews scheduled to take place in June. Thank you for your continued support of the Student Advisory Council and your commitment to elevating student voice within Arizona's charter school community. I am available to answer any questions you may have.
Board members, any questions? I don't think we have any questions.
And then for our last update to you, I'm going to hand it over to Rachel to give you an update on the new charter application.
Good morning, President Montier, Vice President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and board members. As we've been doing periodically, board staff wanted to take a moment today to provide an update on our new charter applications. The deadline to submit an application was April 20th. We received 9 applications by the deadline. After the courtesy submission opportunity to correct up to 3 minor deficiencies, all of these applications have the required components to be administratively complete. Now we are just waiting on fees to be able to deem them as such and move them forward. This cohort of applicants includes 3 applicants proposing to use online instruction, 4 elementary/middle schools, 1 proposing a Montessori model, 1 proposing to serve grades 6 through 12 using project-based learning, and 1 proposing to serve grades 9 through 12 using a STEAM-aligned instructional program. We're also very excited to see an increase in the number of local applicant teams looking to serve their respective communities. We are excited to foster these applicants through our process and see what they've brought to the table in terms of the substantive nature of the written application and each team's capacity to implement their proposed plans. I'm available for questions if you have any.
I'm going to borrow Vice President Close's microphone. Sorry to get a little bit close. We're having some technical difficulties. Does anybody have any questions? I'll slide back over. I promise. I'm not trying to make it uncomfortable.
It's okay.
No? Okay.
We got elbow room.
We're good. All right. Oh, I'm good now. Okay. Slide back over. Okay. Always something, right? Okay. Thank you so much for the executive director's report from Ashley and everyone else, Alyssa and Rachel. Thank you all so much. And with that, we move on to agenda item F, which would be called to the public. We don't have any written comments that were received, but we do have 3 individuals who would like to speak in person. So just a friendly reminder, you have about 2 minutes per person to speak, and we will have our first speaker come up, Faith from American Leadership Academy. Come on up.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I have a little bit of a loss of voice, and so I apologize. I first want to thank the board for having me. Thank you, President Montier, Vice President Close, and President Superintendent Designee Miller, and members of the board. My name is Faith Deaver. I'm a pre-K 6 director in Sierra Vista, Arizona. It's roughly 3.5 hours southeast of here. We are located at 3039 Leadership Way, and I have lived in Cochise County for 23 years. My husband is a native of Cochise County. My father-in-law was the sheriff of Cochise County for 16 years, and my mother-in-law has been in education for 44, the majority of her time spent in special education. I have 4 kids, ages 18, 16, 13, and 11, and I am a mother before I'm an educator, which explains why I'm so passionate about American Leadership Academy Sierra Vista. To many of us down in southeastern Arizona, ALA is much more than just another school. It stands as a beacon of hope and belonging to us. I want to start by taking a few moments to reflect on how far we've come together as a school in our little community in Sierra Vista. We originally began during COVID as an online and hybrid program, serving students in a time when education looked very, very different for most of us. Even in the season of uncertainty, something incredible began to happen. We grew, we became incredibly successful, that we opened a learning center where students could come for live teaching or stay home and receive that same high quality instruction from their computers. The commitment to students, no matter the setting, became the heart of who we are. As families experienced that consistency and connection, they began to fall in love with our raised values. So respect, accountability, integrity, service, and excellence. In fact, so many families actually advocated and supported ALA. There became this reach out for a site-built school in Sierra Vista. And because of that passion, ALA made it happen. And now we're proudly entering our 3rd year as a site-built school. And what has grown here is something truly special. ALA is deeply rooted in the community. We sit in the heart of Sierra Vista, and some would say we have $1 million view where we are. We're surrounded by the Huachuca Mountains. If you know, you know. And that reminds us every day how fortunate we are to serve there. And even more than the view is the people that make Sierra Vista extraordinary. Sierra Vista is a first responder community. We also have Fort Huachuca there. It's a military intelligence base. That means most of our families, our students, and our staff naturally value service, courage, and responsibility. Integrity and values align so closely to our raised mission that this is a shared foundation that makes the school feel like home. So I really wanted to share some updates from the school that we see every day in our little community. So we actually had our third graders reach out to Dr. Jessica Meir. She's actually on the International Space Station, and she actually gave us a message specifically to a third grade classroom in Sierra Vista. And that sparked wonder and excitement as we were going through the curriculum about space. We had a sixth grade student earn first place in our Cochise County College Creative Writing Contest, showing that students have a voice and they can be creative. We were voted best of Sierra Vista schools in Cochise County, earning first place, a reflection of the community's trust and support. And we came together for Socktober, collecting over 1,500 pairs of socks for local shelters and supported students in Ghana through an underwear drive, teaching our students that service has no borders. We honored our first responders through a 9/11 community walk, reminding students of the importance of gratitude and remembrance. And our varsity cheer earned first place in the CAA cheer prelim, and our junior high became CAA champs. Our girls junior high volleyball team actually became state champs, and our junior high boys baseball team became CAA Division I champions. That sense of belonging and purpose in Sierra Vista, of connection, is what makes ALA Sierra Vista so special. Because of the everyday moments with our students, we don't get to choose what they remember. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And congratulations. Yes, absolutely, Dr. Carr.
I just want to thank you for your update. I had the privilege of visiting your school not too long ago, and I was totally impressed. And again, the accomplishments just keep coming. So congratulations. Keep up the good work.
And our second speaker, Elizabeth.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth, and I am a sixth grade student at Discover U. I've been here for the past 5 years, and during that time, I've grown not just as a student, but as a person. Discover U is more than just a school to me. It's a place where I feel safe, supported, and challenged to do my best every day. My teachers know me, they push me, and they believe in me. Because of that, I've been able to grow and succeed. But now, as a sixth grader, we are being told that I have to leave. That's hard because I don't want to start somewhere new. At Discover U, we've built relationships with our friends. We understand the expectations, the routines, and the way we learn here. Starting over at a new school means adjusting to new teachers, new rules, and a whole new environment, right when we are finally confident in doing well. Adding 7th and 8th grade would give students the chance like me to keep growing in a place where we already feel supported. It would also help families. Some of the students have younger siblings here, and it would mean they could stay together instead of going to different schools or everyone leaving. Most importantly, it would allow us to continue learning without interruption. Discover U has helped me build confidence in myself, and I want the chance to keep building on that. We're not asking for something new. We're asking for the chance to continue something that's already working for the students at Discover U. Thank you for listening.
That was great. Thank you so much. You can clap. Everybody's just, no, we're not golf clapping in here, you guys. We don't do that. Give her a round of applause. All right, last speaker, Roxanne, come on down. Mike.
Thank you.
That's all right. Just wanted to make sure we could hear you.
I don't ever do this. Good morning. I am a parent at one of the students at Discover U. So we are writing as parents and family for students at Discover U Elementary to strongly express our support for the expansion of the school to include 7th and 8th grade. Discover U has become more than just a school for our children. It is a community where they feel safe, supported, and challenged to grow academically and personally. As our children approach the end of the 6th grade, we are increasingly concerned about the current structure that requires them to leave after only 1 year in middle school before transitioning to high school. This model creates unnecessary disruption during the critical stage of development. The middle school years are a time when students need stability, strong relationships, and consistent expectations. Asking students to adjust to a new school environment for only 2 years and then transition again only negative, excuse me, sorry. only negatively impacts their academic progress, confidence, and social emotional well-being. Another major concern is the separation of siblings. Many of us have children across multiple grade levels at Discover U. Requiring one child to leave after the 6th grade while the younger siblings remain creates logistical challenges for families, including transportation, scheduling, and maintaining consistent communication with multiple schools. More importantly, it disrupts the sense of unity and support that families value. We also recognize the strong culture and instructional model that Discover U has built. Our children are thriving because of the school commitment to high expectations, strong relationships, and focus on the whole child. Transitioning to a different school often means adjusting to different expectations, teaching styles, and behavioral systems, which can set students back academically and socially. Reasons we choose to stay at Discover U: a safe, structured, and nurturing environment where students feel known and supported. Strong relationships with teachers and staff who understand our children's individual needs. Consistent academic expectations, and proven instructional practices that drive students' growth. A positive school culture rooted in PBIS, leadership, and character development. Opportunities for enrichment, clubs, athletics, and leaderships through programs like Galaxy Teams. Clear communications and strong partnerships between schools and families. A focus on the whole child. Academic, social, and emotional development. Stability and community that helps our child build competence and succeed. Expanding Discover U to include 7th and 8th grade would provide continuity in instruction, expectation, and support systems. Straighten student achievement by maintaining established academic routines. Preserve important relationships between students, teachers, and peers. Reduce the stress of disruption for multiple school transitions. Support families by keeping siblings in one cohesive school community. Oops. As parents, we want what's best for our children, not just academically, but emotionally and socially. We believe that allowing students to continue their journey at Discover U through 8th grade will better prepare them for high school and beyond. We respectfully ask the board to consider this expansion as an investment in student success, family stability, and the long-term growth of the Discover U community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It can always be nerve-wracking coming before a board, so you did a great job. Thank you. All right, and we are moving on to item G, consent agenda. Please note that member Barr will need to recuse herself from considering the consent agenda as she currently works for Great Hearts.
I was going to say that myself.
Well, throwing it out there for you. Take the lead. No, that doesn't mean you get to walk out. It just means you get to shh for this one. All right. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, who wants it? Talk. All right. Member Snyder. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call, please?
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr's recusing herself, Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Montier.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. All right. We are moving on to agenda item, H, charter renewals. Happy Valley is our first one, and Mary is presenting. Hi, Mary.
Good morning, President Montier, Vice President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and board members. Happy Valley East submitted a charter renewal application package on January 27th, 2026 to continue operation of Happy Valley School East. Happy Valley School East serves grades K-6 in Santan Valley. The charter holder has a current enrollment cap of 600. As part of the renewal process, staff conducted an academic systems review using a desk review process with a virtual visit of Happy Valley School East on January 27th, 2026. During the academic systems review, specific areas of the charter contract are reviewed to ensure charter holder is in compliance. And at this time, the charter holder is in compliance in all areas. The charter holder currently meets the board's academic, operational, and financial expectations. That doesn't seem accurate.
That is absolutely accurate.
Okay, sorry about that. I am here for any questions should you have them.
Board members, any questions? No? Should we make sure somebody's okay out there? Just checking. We're good? Right on. Okay. If there are no questions, do we have a representative from the charter?
They are on the Zoom.
Wonderful.
Hello.
All right. Hi.
Hi, my name is Mike Gaddy and I have
Erica Bayo.
the charter reps.
Fantastic. Oh, there you are. Okay, we can see you now. Anything that you would like to share with us before we ask the board about any questions they may have?
No,
All right. Board members, do we have any questions for the charter representatives or for Mary? No questions. All right. With that, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right. Go for it, Member Jones.
I move based on the review of the information provided by the representatives of the charter holder and contents of the application package to approve the charter renewal application package and grant a renewal contract to Happy Valley East effective July 1, 2027.
We have a motion that was made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Member Barr seconds. And can we get a roll call, please?
Vice President Close,
I'm voting no.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
I vote aye.
Miss Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Miss Foster,
Aye.
Miss Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Montier.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. On to agenda item H2, Legacy Traditional Schools. Levine, presentation by Shannon. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning. President Montier, Vice President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and board members, Legacy Traditional School Levine submitted a charter renewal application package on January 23rd, 2026 to continue operation of Legacy Traditional School Levine. Legacy Traditional School Levine serves grades K-8 in Levine, and the charter holder has a current enrollment cap of 1440. As part of the renewal process, staff conducted an academic systems review using a desk review process with a virtual visit of the school on February 24th, 2026. During the academic systems review, specific areas of the charter contract are reviewed to ensure a charter holder is in compliance. At this time, the charter holder is in compliance in all areas, and the charter holder currently meets the board's academic, operational, and financial performance expectations. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Board members, any questions for Shannon? All right. Do we have representatives from the charter? Hi, come on up.
Good afternoon, members of the ASBCS board. My name is Mia Vega. I'm the superintendent for Legacy Traditional Schools, and I'm here today in anticipation of the renewal of Legacy Traditional School Levine. Thank you for the opportunity to share the progress, growth, and continued commitment we have to serving the students and families in this Levine community. While Levine was designated as a C school in 2024, I am proud to share that the school is currently performing at a B level. In fact, currently within our network, we have 21 brick and mortar schools and 1 online academy, and all currently have an A or a B rating. This improvement reflects intentional focused work around instruction, systems, and accountability. It is not accidental. It is the result of a clear plan, strong leadership, and a commitment to continuous improvement. In addition, we have successfully exited CSIT identification under federal accountability. This is a significant milestone, and it demonstrates our strengthened systems of support, compliance, and service to students with diverse needs. Our team has worked diligently to ensure that all students receive services they deserve, and this progress reflects that commitment. We also have added an EL specialist role to our campus, and recent Azella assessments show already a 12% increase in student proficiency compared to last year. Our key driver of our recent success has also been a strategic shift in our school leadership model. We have moved to a principal and director of school operations model, or DSO. This structure allows our principals to focus deeply on instructional leadership, coaching teachers, analyzing data, and driving student achievement. At the same time, our DSOs lead the operational functions of the school, ensuring that day-to-day systems run smoothly and efficiently. This shift has had a measurable impact. One example is a 50% increase in classroom observations. That means more real-time coaching for our teachers, stronger alignment in instructional expectations, and ultimately better outcomes for our students. Principals are now able to consistently present in classrooms, supporting instruction at the level our students deserve. Taken together, these improvements, academic growth, strengthened special educational systems, and a more focused leadership model, they demonstrate that Levine is not only on the right trajectory, but has built the foundation for sustained success. We are committed to continuing this progress, deepening our impact, and serving the Levine community with excellence. For these reasons, we respectfully request the renewal of Legacy Traditional School Levine's charter. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Board members, questions? I don't see any hands online. So with that, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right, Member Jones.
I move based on the review of the information provided by the representatives of the charter holder and the contents of the application package to approve the charter renewal application package and grant a renewal contract to Legacy Traditional School Levine, effective July 1, 2027.
Motion's made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Dr. Crockett seconds. Ashley, can we get a roll call, please?
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Miss Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye. And
Ms. Foster.
congratulations.
Miss Foster,
Aye.
Miss Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Monteith.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Oh, no golf claps. All right. Fantastic. Moving on to agenda item H3, Read Traditional Schools, presentation by Megan.
Good morning, President Monteith, Vice President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and members of the board. Read Traditional Schools Painted Rock Academy Incorporated submitted a charter renewal application package on January 5th, 2026 to continue operation of Read Traditional Schools Painted Rock Academy. Read Traditional Schools Painted Rock Academy serves grades K-8 in Phoenix, and the charter holder has a current enrollment cap of 600. As part of the renewal process, staff conducted an academic systems review using a desk review process with a virtual visit of Read Traditional Schools Painted Rock Academy on February 4th, 2026. During the academic systems review, specific areas of the charter contract are reviewed to ensure the charter holder is in compliance. Board staff has worked with the charter holder to bring identified issues into compliance. The charter holder currently meets the board's academic and operational performance expectations. The charter holder currently does not meet in the financial performance expectations due to having a summative rating of intervention. And I'm here for questions.
Board members' questions. Member Barr.
Could you speak a little bit more as to why the school is currently and as a financial rating of intervention?
Give me 1 second to get that document open. All right, so on the 2025 financial performance dashboard, the charter holder has a below standard rating for available reserve, an orange triangle, which I believe is approaches rating for revenues exceed expenses. I am not the financial expert on the team, in case you were wondering, and a below standard rating for facility and debt costs covered. These metrics and and an approaches standard in stable or increasing number of students, which is fairly typical in today's current environment. So because of those three reasons, this charter holder is currently rated as intervention for 2025.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Megan and or Rachel? Do we have a representative from the charter? Hi.
Thank you for considering our charter renewal application. I am Heidi Mitchell. I'm the charter representative for Reed Traditional Schools, and with me today is Stella Goshow. Stella is the principal of Painted Rock Academy. We opened our first campus, Valley Academy, in 1995. We were pioneers. And we opened our second campus, Painted Rock Academy, in 2012. Throughout those 3 decades, we've stayed true to our mission of providing traditional back to basic education to elementary schools. And throughout our over 30-year history, our schools have never received anything less than an A rating. But like most schools, we felt the effect of low birth rates and increased competition from ESAs. In August of 2024, we had an unexpected problem. A number of the students whose parents completed registration packets simply did not show up for the first day of school. And by law, we're required to keep those spaces available unless we can find those parents for 10 days. And so that created an enrollment problem. It's very hard to fill spaces after 2 weeks of school. So we had lower enrollment, smaller class sizes, and in response, we considered controlling costs by laying off teachers mid-year and moving students into different classrooms. But we opted instead against the upheaval that would have caused, and we prioritized our employees and our students over money for fiscal year 25. We did adjust our other expenses as much as possible that wouldn't affect our people. After that year was over, we right-sized the staff. So this year, we're much better. And we implemented some new strategies to identify no-show students before the first day of school and keep prospective parents engaged throughout the summer to make sure that they're still coming. And that's worked well for the current school year. We have projected that Painted Rock's financial dashboard indicators for fiscal year 26, this current year, and we anticipate meeting all of the expectations with the exception of ADM. Our enrollment, we've got a few more students this year than we had last year, so it's good. But the calculation uses a 3-year average, and so we believe that we will get approaching in the ADM calculation and meet all of the others for this year. I would like to introduce you to Stella Goshow, our principal, and then we can take some questions.
Okay. Hi, good morning. My name is Stella Gasho. I am the principal of Painted Rock Academy. And I just want to share with you our school success. Throughout my time at Painted Rock Academy as a parent, teacher, and now administrator, I've witnessed firsthand that Painted Rock Academy's success stems from our dedicated teachers and our families. We have maintained an A rating from the Arizona Department of Education since we opened in 2012. Families consistently share how much their children have grown academically and socially. This is a direct result of the teachers' commitment to maintaining our high standards while supporting each student's success. With a 93% teacher retention, we have built a stable and an experienced team that truly invests in our students and the community. I want to thank our teachers and staff for making Painted Rock a thriving place today. Thank you. Any questions?
Board members, do we have any questions for the charter representatives?
I just have a comment.
Okay.
First, I want to thank you for being a pioneer in the, charter movement and your success just throughout the years. You really have dedicated a lot of time, personal time, just in general, to really making the movement and just really to your students and staff. And we really appreciate all that you've done throughout the years. So thank you. And thank you for your dedication to the students and parents. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to piggyback on that and say thank you for your honesty, because you pretty much laid it out for us. So we have a good picture of why your academic standing is what it is. So thank you for your honesty. All right. With that, if we don't have any other questions, nope, doesn't look like we do. Do we have a motion?
I can make a motion.
All right, Member Jones, it's your day.
On a roll. I move based on the review of the information provided by the representatives of the charter holder and contents of the application package to approve the charter renewal application and grant a renewal contract to Reed Traditional Schools Painted Rock Academy effective July 1, 2027.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Member Snyder was first, I think, right? Okay. All right. We'll go with Member Snyder. Can we get a roll call, please?
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
I'd like to thank Reed Traditional and Legacy for taking the time to prepare some comments and be respectful of the process on the board. And definitely, I vote aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
I too wanted to say thank you for actually addressing the questions I already had. So, and coming forth. So thank you. With that, I say aye.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Montier.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Congratulations. You can clap. All I saw was a yay in the back, so we can clap too. All right. We are moving on to agenda item I, charter amendments. Agenda item I1, Freedom Prep Academy Mesa, looking at an enrollment cap increase, presentation by Rachel. Or yes? Okay, because Shannon's coming up, so.
She's on deck.
Okay, she's on deck. All right, Rachel.
Freedom Prep Academy Mesa has submitted an amendment request to increase its enrollment cap from 720 to 1,800 beginning in fiscal year 2027. The charter holder is requesting to increase to accommodate future growth and facilitate a strategic transition from a single site model to a specialized educational network, including a dedicated K-8 school and dedicated high school that, according to the narrative, would possibly be alternative. The charter holder's current school operates using Arizona online instruction and includes a mix of learning centers and micro schools within its operations. All data and comparisons in the board materials are to other online schools serving grades K through 12. I'm available for questions should you have any.
Board members, do we have questions for Rachel? Doesn't look like it. All right. Do we have representatives from the charter? Hi, come on up. just push the button. Wonderful. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
So for my prepared remarks, good morning, President Montier, Executive Director Berg, members of the board and staff. My name is Sterling Kellis. I am the authorized representative and the Executive Director of Freedom Prep Academy, and I am here today to request an increase to our enrollment cap, as Rachel mentioned, from 720 students to 1,800. I am grateful to the Charter Board for considering our request and very much recognize and appreciate the diligent work of Charter Board staff in preparing our summary. In my opening remarks, I tend to address why are we requesting this cap increase. I want to explain proactively our operational dashboard marks and our school letter grade, and explain why our cap increase is in the best interest of Arizona's students and families. So Freedom Prep Academy exists to prepare students for college, career, and life readiness. Our AOI program has seen tremendous growth over the past few years. Our enrollment cap has increased, or our enrollment has increased by 60% year over year. At 650 students as of today, we are now at 90% of our 720 student enrollment cap. If current trends continue, we will exceed our cap at the beginning of next year. This strong growth is a testament to our success and parent satisfaction and approval as they continue to vote with their feet. While we embrace the many benefits of remote learning as an AOI, we also acknowledge that many of our students thrive with in-person care. To meet these demands, we are currently in negotiations to acquire 2 physical facilities that will provide in-person care and support, as well as testing space for our online learners. This cap increase is the prerequisite for the financing required to secure these buildings and support the staff we've already hired for the 26-27 school year. Furthermore, this expansion allows us to evolve into a multi-site network, as mentioned, ensuring specialized age-appropriate support and more accurate performance metrics, which all improve our academic performance. We recognize that we lack a staff recommendation today due to past marks on our operational dashboard and our current letter grade. Allow me to address these. Regarding our operational dashboard, we have corrected all cited issues. As of today, there are no outstanding compliance matters, and we are operating in full compliance and have a rating of meets standards in FY 23, 24, and 25. For our academic performance, our C letter grade is a trailing indicator that does not accurately reflect the reality of our program or the unique demographic we serve. Many AOIs function as extensions of their existing brick and mortar campuses, serving a relatively homogeneous local population. In contrast, FPA serves students across the entire state and in all 15 counties, including rural, urban, and various tribal lands. Many of our students reside in underperforming D and F rated districts. For these families, FPA is not just another choice, but a superior alternative to their local options. And while this population brings unique challenges, we prioritize educational equity to students in these areas who might otherwise be left behind. Our letter grade is also a result of historically low testing participation rate, an issue that has been drastically improved. We have since hired a new testing coordinator who successfully increased our participation this year to approximately 95%, which is great for an AOI. Our real-time iReady benchmarks show significant, consistent improvement across math and reading, and based on these metrics, we are on track to earn a B letter grade this year. If approved for a cap increase, we also anticipate organizational improvements that will allow us to further improve to an A in subsequent years. Again, a lofty goal for an AOI, but one we are confident we can achieve. Regarding finances, as shown in the summary report, we are in a strong financial position with over 100 days cash on hand, over double the recommended allowance. And we have a debt service coverage ratio of 8.5, well above the 1.1 recommended by ASBCS. So why should the board approve our cap increase? Well, there is an immediate and a critical need for this increase. We are currently seeing multiple district closures in and around the communities we serve. For example, Pioneer Elementary in Peoria, Pioneer Elementary in Gilbert, Joyce Clark Jr., and Bella Vista Elementary in Sierra Vista. Families from these closing schools are reaching out to us for a seat next year. We have the space, we have the capacity, but without an enrollment cap increase, they will be forced to stay at the districts that they are already in. This request also upholds the spirit of school choice that defines Arizona's education system. Families, not caps, should determine where their students succeeds. Underperforming district schools, university-sponsored charters, and the ESA program, which now serves 100,000 plus students, operate without enrollment caps. We are seeking the same flexibility afforded to these other LEAs to ensure FPA remains accessible to every family that chooses us. Denying a cap increase doesn't keep students in A-rated schools. It often keeps them trapped in the very underperforming options they are trying to leave. In the spirit of Arizona's commitment to school choice, we believe families should have the freedom to choose the environment that serves them best. If our model were failing, we would see high attrition. Instead, we are at 90% of our current enrollment cap and have families from closing schools waiting for seats. We ask the board to look at the trajectory of our school, the preference of our students, and the immediate needs of these families. We are prepared, compliant, and ready to serve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board members, do you have any questions? Yeah. Member Mark. Sorry, I was looking online as well.
I think somebody, go ahead online.
Wait,
Yeah, go ahead.
and Member Swanson, do you have a question?
I do.
Okay. Are you okay with me going with Member Swanson first? All right, go for it, Member Swanson.
And I, oops, I raised my hand. Sorry.
Why, thank you.
Whatever.
I'm really glad that we chose Member Swanson first because he's pretty excited about talking right now.
Thank you, President Montier, and thank you for your presentation. I want to go back to staff, Rachel. So I'm in the materials. First of all, this is a C letter school for the last fiscal years, and I know the representative said they're on track to be a B. But I'm really confused about the mission and what what we're really trying to accomplish here. We're an AOI, but we want to grow, and we maybe are going to be an alternative school, and we're going to maybe have, or we're in the process of negotiating for brick and mortar. So how do I reconcile the fact that we're a C now, and I believe, again, to your point, with the competition that's out there, that we need to have expanding A-rated schools and schools with high quality, with a mission-driven purpose, and not one that's sort of kind of, I'm just confused about what they're trying to accomplish. And Rachel, I don't know if you can comment on any of that. Like, what is the situation between the expansion, brick and mortar, AOI, and alternative?
Member Swanson, I'll try to answer the question I think you're asking. And if I'm off track, let me know.
Because I probably don't know the question I'm asking.
That's okay. So I think what you're generally asking is, what is the current makeup of this school? So the current makeup of this school is it is a single entity online charter school operating under traditional accountability. The current contract does not have this charter holder approved for alternative status, nor does the Department of Education have this charter holder approved for alternative status. And that would have to come through this board before that would be the case. This charter holder would need, at minimum, a mission statement amendment, possibly a program of instruction amendment, depending on the nature of the transition to alternative status. And Member Jones is nodding, so if she has anything to add on that topic, I'm happy to defer to her as our alt expert. It is important to note that specifically in the narrative submitted for this request, it does say FPA intends to utilize an enrollment cap increase to fill out our existing AOI grade levels while creating the foundation for future specialized site-based initiatives, which would include a dedicated K-8 school, and then it says a dedicated high school, a dedicated high school, possibly an alternative high school. Although those are referenced in the narrative, no new school requests, which if these are site-based new schools, as I am understanding them in this narrative, have been requested in conjunction with this amendment. Have I missed anything, Member Swanson?
No, that was very helpful. And so, yeah, it's gonna be difficult for me to get over where we're at because it seems like it's just a little bit unclear. And the fact that we have a C-rated school that's trying to expand, I just think they need to figure out, how to deliver what they're currently doing before we do these mights and maybes going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Swanson and Member Jones.
Yes, President Montier, board members. I have a couple questions for the charter representative. So what is the current mission of the school right now?
Our mission is a lengthy one, but essentially it's to empower excellence through education. Our mission, as stated, is to provide motivated learners the opportunity to achieve academic excellence and develop life skills in a technology-rich and safe learning environment taught by caring and knowledgeable educators. So this somewhat answers your question and goes back to the previous question. As Rachel mentioned, we are a K through 12 AOI school. So we serve 13 grades all over the state and in every county. So as you can imagine, there's a diverse population of learners. And as our management team has discussed, we think that they would be best served down the road to possibly break into smaller schools of a K-8 and a 9-12. As we have continued to grow, we've attracted a lot of students who have been out of school or who are seeking credit recovery. That also lends to the alternative status. As Rachel mentioned, that's not the application or the request at this time. Those are topics that we will address as our board and our administrative team in the future, but this does allow us to create the foundation as shared to be able to grow in that direction and to provide a better overall experience to all of our learners.
Thank you for answering that question. So the idea is that if in the future there's a request to add a school site, basically expand, the idea would be to have a mission that is a mission to serve a specific population, which is alternative students under the alternative framework.
Correct.
So we're not there yet. We're not there at this time. So, and keep in mind, alternative schools, it's 6 through 12.
Correct.
Okay, so that's in statute. That's important to remember. So K-12 environment for online instructional school, we do know that if you're under an alternative framework, there's a good portion of students that are not captured in that A through F. And the good news is the AA TAC is currently working on some of those issues right now. But that being said, so it sounds like you're specifically looking for K-12 expansion under a traditional model as a C letter grade for an AOI.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm going to piggyback on that because I'm a little bit confused about the brick and mortar portion of this. So my understanding is AOI is online. I understand also having buildings for testing and for students to come in and get some additional support. Where I got confused was it sounds like this enrollment increase is to help pay for this building, which may or may not end up being a brick and mortar school request down the line. Did I understand that correctly or did I misunderstand that?
That is semi-correct. So the intent and the purpose of having brick and mortar buildings, just as any educational institution, is that we have staff and we have students that utilize those. Even though we are not a traditional brick and mortar where students have to attend for 180 days on campus. And of course, we value and recognize the flexibility and the benefits of AOI. We see tremendous benefits in providing in-person tutoring, support, and care. For that reason, ever since the commencement of our charter, is we've had in-person opportunities for students to go and learn. We don't own those facilities. We're at the stage now where we're knocking on the door of enrollment cap and almost 700 students, where we would really benefit for our staff as well as some of our students to be able to have some of their own facilities that they can utilize, just as other AOI schools in the state do have as well.
And just out of curiosity, what is the capacity on this building?
The current building is over 700 for the one that we are looking at.
Okay. And I want to ask one other question, and then, sorry, I will not hog the mic after that. You had mentioned that you have some interest from surrounding schools from the district. Just so that I know that you've done the research, those schools, are they in-person schools or are they online schools?
Those are in-person schools.
So you're looking at taking a pretty significant handful of students that are used to in-person learning, bricks and mortar, in-person 180 days, and transitioning those students to an online school model. Can you talk to us about what that will look like? Because that can be a difficult transition for some people.
Definitely, and I appreciate the question. So our model educates and serves students via 3 different modalities. They can attend 100% online. They can also attend at what we call a learning center, which is most similar to a campus environment that most students experience. And then they can attend at an in-person micro school, which is a small learning community, or these kind of birthed out of the COVID era, or a learning pod where they will meet together with a small group of neighborhood learners. So students are already familiar with those environments. We have some students that attend learning centers and attend on-site and get the support even though they are AOI students, and they tremendously benefit from that. In these areas that we were mentioning and we were looking at, we already have students that are attending a similar learning center that we are simply leasing. So the transition would be rather seamless where they are also still attending in person, although from history, we have found that some students prefer the flexibility of attending in a hybrid fashion where they attend on-site for some of the days and then remote for other days. And as an AOI student, they have the flexibility to do that.
And that includes the students that are coming from Pioneer was the one that you had mentioned.
Correct.
Okay.
Does that answer that? Sorry.
So sort of, because that's a brick and mortar in person. So what I was asking was what that transition looks like. And you addressed students that you have that participated in some micro schools that are already with you. So I'm looking at the students that are used to just a traditional 180-day, 7 hours a day and seats in a classroom, transitioning to that, to an online program, what that looks like. I understand the micro schools. I understand the students that you already have. Sure. They're all used to that. Mm-hmm. But when you're taking students, particularly looking at K-2 that are going to transition over there, that's a little bit challenging. And I also have some concerns about screen time, but that's a completely separate issue that is addressed not here. So just want to put all of those concerns out there because they're just very real.
Great questions, and we share the exact same concerns. That's why we've expanded. So for the students in those 2 particular areas, specifically Peoria and Gilbert, as well as Shola, which is a 3rd area that we're also exploring, those students that are in that area currently attend for 4 days out of the week, so Monday through Thursday. So if a brick and mortar student who had a school that was closing was interested in attending ours, then they would be able to explore that and still attend in person for 80% of the time as they had been. Many students value that. Many families want that. At the same time, if there's another school, and I know that the districts are consolidating right now for a variety of reasons, then they have those options. But we've had a lot of families that have expressed interest in our existing models, and this would help us flesh those out.
Do you have a question? Because I can see you thinking.
I don't know. Yes.
Because I have a follow-up question that I would.
16 bouncy balls.
I know.
Why don't you ask your question?
Well, it's more of a, I guess not a question. It's just more of a, I just want to put this out there as maybe not a concern or a caution. I'm not even sure what the word is. I just want to make sure that we are not putting the cart before the horse. So I don't want to get into a situation where we look at an enrollment increase and then, oh, now we're coming to you with, with a request for a new school or something like that, because we have been in situations like that before and we aren't going to be in situations like that anymore. So that's where I'm at with, just wanted to put that out there as a comment. And then shall I go to?
You kind of took my comment was the kind of cart before the horse situation. I feel like if you come in front of us and said, hey, we are getting close to our enrollment cap, can we boost it up to 1,000 or, a reasonable number, and just kind of left it at that and then came back before us and said, hey, we want to move into alternative. Here's the plan. Here's all the research and information. So in addition to requesting that, we're also requesting an additional raise in enrollment cap. So that's kind of where my mind is right now, I guess. I don't know that was so much a comment or a question, but.
No, and that's a great question. And we went back and forth with that same question as well. At the recommendation of board staff, we applied a bit more context and purpose as to why and what our future growth plan is, even though it really is as simple as saying, we are knocking on the door of our existing enrollment cap. We have a lot of families and students that would like to attend, but they won't be able to if we don't get this increased. So then at the recommendation, it was, well, what are the plans down the road? And we are well equipped to continue operating just as we have been. But down the road, I think that there is value and utility in having separate school sites. But just as Rachel mentioned, if and when that time comes, we would make that decision. We would come back before the board and discuss that and put that on as a separate agenda item. Good question.
And please understand, we're not,
Sure.
we're just trying to cover all of our bases. So thank you for, and we appreciate your honesty as well, coming before us and giving us honest answers. So Vice President Close, you had a question, comment? Okay.
I can have a question for staff on the record, but first of all, I do want to say that I thank you for your compelling vision. I may not agree with some of the specific concluded statements, but I can truly appreciate the effort there. Before I continue there, I do want to ask staff, if we deny the request today, does that preclude them from coming back next year or at any other time?
No, as long as the charter holder remains eligible to submit an expansion request, they can submit a request at any time. Your denial would not change that.
Because, thank you. Because I was just going to follow up with the statements from the other board members here, and that I just think that you're a little premature here with this request. I understand the need and the timing, but I just think that you also need to refine that vision. That is, while compelling, I think it needs to be refined, and I think it needs to, your effort in executing the effort to realize that vision needs to be done more cooperatively and comprehensively with the staff of the board here. So that's just my opinion, but that's where I stand.
And then I think Member Snyder, you had a question, comment?
Yes, thank you, President Montour. Just again, so I'm entirely clear, the tripling of your cap size is entirely related to the school in its AOI construction, right, at this point?
In the current form, correct. Yes, that would allow us to grow out to approximately 80 students per grade level, which we are well on track to doing. We understand we're very blessed and grateful in this educational environment where a lot of schools are shrinking and contracting, that we've seen about a 60% growth year over year over the past 4 years. So we anticipate a similar growth trend in the future, and that will flesh out our AOI program so that we can continue to operate that down the road in the future. As we've kind of discussed and board members have asked about is, well, what does that look like? Is there a value or a benefit in breaking a school that's 13 grade levels into 2 distinct schools so that we can see clearer metrics? We tend to think there is. In fact, as of right now, if we were able to divide them out, we would probably be at a B grade level, but we have a lot of students that we continue to serve in these underperforming areas that we want to be able to help, but it does academically hurt our score. We understand that.
And of the approximately 500 additional students you project to have this fall, what is the basis of that projection?
So we have had inquiries from various families in the 2 different areas that we're looking to expand to, based off of what we've shared as far as a couple school closures. And we anticipate a few hundred new students that are wanting to start ASAP.
Have they begun applying at this point? Is there a significant number of those completed application packets?
Correct.
Do you have an approximate number?
Like I said, our enrollment cap is at 720. We anticipate 800 students to start the school year. We're at 650 right now. So we anticipate that will continue to grow throughout the year. As an AOI, we tend to see a disproportionately high number of transfers throughout the year. But as far as starting the school year, we anticipate that we would be above that enrollment cap. And if not approved, then we would likely have to send them elsewhere or just tell them to stay in their second or third or fourth options.
So
may I ask a follow-up question to what you're saying? Just out of curiosity, because you were talking about enrollment and registration and what we're looking at for next year. Specific grade levels, do you happen to have that information about where you're particularly high? I know you said you gave us kind of a rough estimate, but do you have like an influx of, 9th graders or something like that? Is there a trend that you're seeing there that? And I'll follow up after Member Snyder speaks about where my train of thought is.
It's relatively even across grade levels. I could find that data out and share it, but it's relatively even across all grade levels.
So I guess the one other thing I'd like to hear from you is help me understand what your program provides, given that we're solely talking about AOI, and there are a number of AOI charters and district programs in the state who have A and B ratings. They can serve students anywhere in the state as well. And with a C rating that doesn't meet our expansion criteria. I kind of I want to know a little bit more why we should be doing
Sure.
that.
So as shared in my opening statements, many AOIs tend to be an extension of their existing brick and mortar campus. A lot of district schools followed that same suit when those became available, especially over COVID. And as a result of that, they're rather homogeneous and kind of geographically locked within their same area. Not all, but a lot of them operate that way. And as a result, they have similar results from their existing brick and mortar campus. As a true statewide AOI, we serve a lot of students all throughout the state, from as far south as Yuma and San Luis and Sierra Vista, all the way north up to Arizona City and Page and everywhere in between. And a lot of students are attending in areas where they are D and F rated districts and they don't perform super well. I think as a result of that, we see that reflect in our grade report of a C. Also, I think as most board members know, for testing, which is the majority or the bulk of the school letter grade, 95% participation rate is what's required. And students that fall below that are counted as 0. As an AOI school serving the entirety of the state and having testing centers in over a dozen different cities, that creates a unique level of complexity in past years that has resulted in not all of our students testing. We have a phenomenal new testing coordinator who has reached right around 95% for this year. So that's why, along with other metrics of our benchmark testing scores, we anticipate a B rating for this year. And if approved and we continue to break into a smaller model, we anticipate that we will continue to reach up towards that A grade and that A scoring for our various schools, if that's the route that we go. Hopefully that answered that question.
Thank you.
And we do have 2 members online, but I'm not sure who put their hand up first. So if it's okay with you, Member Swanson, I'm going to pull a ladies first and have Superintendent Designee Miller speak first. All right.
Thank you, President Montier. Timing is great because it's a little bit of a piggyback question onto Member Snyder's. So I'd also like to thank the school representative. This has been a lot of questions, and I greatly appreciate you being there today and answering with such grace and understanding why we have a lot to work through today. So Mike, you did start to answer my question because it really was on the academic piece. And I do apologize if you brought it up in the beginning. I agree that some schools having 999,000 as an enrollment cap is completely unfair. So that's kind of what stood out in your opening comments to me, was maybe like the validity or the fairness in the request, not so much like how you intend to sort of fix the problem that the board has placed you on this particular agenda for, right? So your FAE students, which are students who attend for multiple years consistently, are like currently performing under 10%, right? Like all subject areas are performing under state averages. So we have students at like 5 to 15% proficiency. And so I would be really interested to know how this change you're asking for specifically addresses the academics for those students.
So your question is specifically regarding the FAE students, or?
In general, I mean, I think the FAE stand out to me, right? As a school administrator, it stands out to me that students who stay longer are performing worse than students, or at least in this one testing data point, right? That you're showing a decline with your FAE result and outcomes versus your one-time 1-year outcomes. So that sounds out to me. So that, yes, but just in general, like how you're going to get those students up to at least a state average with this expansion request.
Correct. Yeah, thank you for your question. As mentioned previously, I believe we have already done that. One of the big concerns that happened last year with one of our testing site locations, unbeknownst to us, when we showed up, they had accidentally double booked it with another AOI, assuming that we were the same school in coordination. And that really impacted a lot of our testing scores, even students that had been with us before, because those showed up as 0 when they were unable to complete it or unable to come back. Again, being mindful that while most of our students attend in person and are very close to one of our testing site locations, they often do travel quite a bit. So a hiccup like that in the 1 or 2 week window that we have for testing can significantly derail us. Like I said, that was not the issue this year. We are very proud of being able to reach near that 95% mark, and we think that that will bear out in the results for this year. So yes, thank you for that question.
So the scores are more of an abnormality, in your opinion, or a representation of limitations, not academic performance.
Exactly. Yep. We would say that they are more a function of geography and demographic than pedagogy.
Okay. Thank you so much for elaborating.
Thank you.
And
sorry, go ahead.
President Montier, if I can just address the unlimited enrollment cap situation, because I do want to make sure we're understanding what those numbers actually look like as of today.
Yes, ma'am.
We currently have 10 charters in the portfolio that have an unlimited cap. Of those, only 4 are AOI. So the other 6 are actually bound by the capacity of their building at this point. And of those 4 AOIs, 3 of them are alternative schools. And I can also share that the majority of those have fairly low enrollment. So I do think it's important to, if we're going to address this as a fairness issue, I think it's important to address that really only one that's represented in the summary would be comparable to this charter in any way.
Okay, I'm going to ask a follow-up question and then I'll get to Member Swanson. So when we're talking about fairly low enrollment, can you give us some numbers?
I would need to pull those for you. I can do that fairly quickly.
That or an estimate, but I can have Member Swanson go because I think that you still want to have a question.
You know, I think that both Superintendent Representative Miller and Member Snyder got enough of what I was curious about. So thank you.
Did he give you enough time to pull numbers?
No, he did not.
Keep talking, Member Swanson. Keep talking.
I can ask another question if we're killing time. I did have one other quick question on the executive summary, and it was in comparison to the comments this morning. I know excellence and sort of serving a population that needs you were 2 of the key components for freedom. So your free and reduced enrollment, ELO, and SPED numbers look a little low comparatively. So as far as and I know today we're not discussing the alternative application, but since we're killing time, if you want to speak a little bit to those numbers and how they compare to your vision on potentially pursuing an alternative path.
Sure, I can speak to that. So in response to that question, as far as comparatively low numbers, those we don't believe are truly representative. Usually FRL are students that are tied to be able to be eligible for their free and reduced lunch. And since as an AOI, we do not qualify, often our students do not share that data or we do not track that. As a result, that's statistically lower than it likely is based off of the population we serve. I can say that with our new ESS director, we've had great feedback. I'll just read a very brief kind of, because at the end of each year, the state sends out an ESS or special education survey. And this is just a couple of the families that said we had a great experience at Freedom Prep. They evaluated my son when his previous school refused to. My son started getting the services he needed to help him in school, and he has done so well since. I am grateful to them for listening to me when I knew my son needed more than what he was getting. The new special education teacher they assigned to my son is even better than the first, and he loves the time he spends with her. He doesn't connect easily with people, but he does with her. There were just a lot of really positive remarks. And I think that that's a testament to a lot of these students that feel underserved in environments where they get a one-on-one connection. And in addition to their ESS teacher and their teacher of record, they have additional support guides that are reaching out. And it's a level of support that is often absent in this type of environment and even in a brick and mortar setting. So yeah, thanks for those questions.
Time. Just kidding.
One more to pull. But okay, so for the first one, which is classified as alt, enrollment in the AOI is 2. So that's low. For the next, which is alt, enrollment is 305. And for the next, which is alt, enrollment is 85. And I'm working on the non-alt right now.
So I'm going to ask another question. It's probably directed towards Ashley. Kind of goes along with the fairness, kind of goes along with enrollment. So, and feel free to jump in as well. I think I don't want to speak for anybody else on the board, but my major concern is we're looking at a pretty significant enrollment cap that, if I'm being 100% honest with you, I'm uncomfortable with. I also see the need for an enrollment cap based on the information that you're sharing, but the one presented is it's not going to work for me. So, question for Ashley, if we were to, we're not trying to get into negotiations here or anything, but if we see their enrollment cap and raise them and give a different number, is that something that we can do? And then if that is the question, if that's a yes, then my question goes to Charter Rep. Just out of curiosity, I know you gave us this rather large number, but I would like you to throw out a number that we'd be more comfortable with. So Ashley, first question, can we look at possibly doing a different type of enrollment increase?
Yes, it is within your discretion to approve a lower enrollment than what is enrollment cap than what was
What's
requested.
presented? Okay, all right. And with that, then,
We would love the opportunity to get an enrollment increase and then come back and then follow up with additional data as we continue to grow. I know that as kind of laid out in the submitted documents, this is a 3-year growth plan with going up to 1140 and then 1500. But if it were halfway there, that would allow us to still meet our financial obligations, continue with our hired staffing, and then follow up in a year or two and come back to the board and say, here's where we are now.
okay, with that being said, sorry to throw some new information at us. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No?
I mean,
Yes,
that
okay.
I kind of mentioned, I threw out 1,000 earlier. I don't know what you mean by the halfway, like split the difference between 720 and 1,800. I just, yeah, as we all know, I don't teach math. So that is something, as I kind of, in my ramblings earlier, I would feel more comfortable doing such a thing. Just like you said, that's a large number that you're asking for. It's more than twice your current cap plus the perhaps and maybe, and we're thinking someday down the road that I think doesn't really sit quite well. So that's where I am.
And, oh, I'm so sorry. Somebody.
Yeah, President Montier, I just, yeah, one comment to extend on what Board Member Barr was saying. So, because this is ADM, so your active count, and you've got 613 ADM right now. So active students you have in an AOI, we know you don't get, a lot of times it's not the full active student count that you have. So what is your active student count right now?
650 is the current active count. This was captured a few months ago, but 650 would be the current.
So you're close to it. So it's 50 to
90%, yes.
Okay, so 50 to 75 to 100 over ADM could be logical for a cap.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then Dr. Crockett, you had a question, and then members. Oh, that was your question? Well, look at that. Great minds. And Member Swanson, you have a question/comment?
I guess it would be more of a comment based on your suggestion, President Montier. And I'm happy for the board to do whatever motion it wants, but again, we have a C graded school that has pretty low scores for proficiency. And what we're going to do, it appears, is just allow an AOI just to get a little bit bigger and kick this can down the road of what they really want to be and so forth. It's not a hill I'll die on, but I will be a no vote.
Thank you. And I think that, I mean, it's a bit challenging, just to be 100% honest, which is why you've had so many questions, and you've been very lovely and answered everything. So thank you very much for that. Do we have any other questions or comments from the board?
Make a comment.
Comment.
Just quickly following on Member Swanson. I'm with him. This isn't a hill I'm going to die on, but I can't make a motion to approve any cap increase at this point. The business of education is a solemn endeavor, and I think it needs to be approached solemnly. And I just don't think, if we approve an enrollment cap increase, we're acting on perception and vision and hope rather than a distilled reality. So I'm fine with a motion being made. I would vote no if it's any type of enrollment cap increase at this point, but I just want to make those comments.
Thank you for your comments. All right. Anybody else? Okay, with that, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, it's your day.
I'll put it out there and we'll go from there. I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the request to increase the enrollment cap for the contract of Freedom Prep Academy Mesa from 720 to 920 beginning in fiscal year 2027.
So we have a motion made. Yes, ma'am.
Could you please state a reason for?
Yes, and I will state a reason for that. My reasoning for changing the enrollment cap from 920 from the 1,800 to the 920 is looking at your active student count, the amount of student applications and interest that you have had, adding an additional 200 students and then coming back to the board with a plan as to how you want to continue to move forward would provide us the opportunity to hear from you again.
So motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Dr. Crockett seconds. Can we get a roll call vote, please, Ashley?
Vice President Close,
Voting no.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Think that this process is really important, and I really appreciate the effort that this operator has put in today to answer all our questions. Excited to see what those outcomes could potentially be. I'm going to vote aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
I do have concerns that I would like to see the C ratings and the support of the current students be upgraded and supported. Based on that, I'm going nay.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
I vote aye. I'd also like to see, I think the compromise is reasonable, and hopefully your grades will come up and you'll have a more detailed plan for the future. So I vote aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Given all that's going on in the state in terms of enrollment and other opportunities, I really would prefer to see a school that meets our board or our staff criteria. So I vote no.
Mr. Stratton,
Yeah, given the fact that we've got the C rating and doesn't really meet the criteria, unfortunately, I'm going to have to vote no today on this.
Mr. Swanson,
No.
President Montier.
I know that I presented the enrollment cap, but I am also a no.
With 5 votes of aye and 6 votes of nay, the motion does not pass.
So we have to have another motion.
That is correct.
Okay. Do we have another motion?
I'll make one. I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to deny the request for an enrollment cap increase for the contract of Freedom Prep Academy, Mesa, for the reasons that the charter holder does not perform at or above the performance of other online schools serving grades K through 12. And the submitted amendment does not present a complete plan due to its disclosure that the charter holder plans to add multiple brick and mortar sites and possibly transition some of its operations to an alternative designation, none of which was submitted to the board for consideration through the appropriate amendment requests.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
That would be Member Swanson. Roll call, please.
Actually, it was Member Stratton.
Sorry, Stratton. I saw an S. I saw your face too, though. I apologize. Member Stratton.
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Certainly an odd situation to be in. I'm going to vote no.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Ms. Jones,
I'm going to vote no.
Mr. Ruiz,
No.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Montier.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. All right. Oh, can we take a quick break, please? Thank you. Actually, can we get a roll call vote, please? Or oh my gosh. Yes, could you just make sure we're all here? Physically or not?
Physically or not, yes. President Monteith.
Here.
Vice President Close.
Here.
Superintendent Designee Miller.
Here.
Ms. Barr.
Here.
Dr. Crockett.
Here.
Ms. Foster.
Here.
Ms. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Ruiz.
Here.
Mr. Snyder.
Here.
Mr. Stratton.
Here.
Mr. Swanson.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Fantastic. We are moving on to agenda item I2, Kaizen Education Foundation, Discovery U, grade level increase. And that presentation, oh, sorry, is by Shannon.
Good morning again. Still morning. Kaizen Education Foundation, DBA Discover U, has submitted an amendment request to increase the grades served from K6 to K8 beginning in fiscal year 27. The charter holder is requesting the grade level increase in response to community need and to allow students to remain at the campus through 8th grade. And I am available for questions if you have them.
Board members, any questions? I know we have representatives from the charter. I don't even have to ask. So all of you come on down. Oh, go ahead and turn on your microphone. Mary.
I know. Thank you, President Montier, Vice President Close, and Superintendent Designee Miller. My name again is Mary Berg, and I'm here before you. And this time I'm here to ask for a grade level increase for Discover U, taking it from a K6 to a K8. I did have some people with me today, so I'm just going to quickly introduce. School leader Kirsten Jones is behind me, and Lauren Arnold, as well as Devin Isherwood in the audience. Sorry, Lauren Arnold and Devin Isherwood both work with the elementary schools on academic initiatives. We also have our CEO here, Michelle Kay, and our board president, Gary Bay. So I'm here today because our parents reached out to us this year, and they reached out to us again. They've been reaching out to us every year asking if we could please add grades 7 and 8. Up until this point, we have told them no, that we are not ready academically yet to do that. This year, we listened to them and we agree that we are ready to expand our program to a K-8 model. I'm going to just acknowledge right now, because we did get a C 2 years ago, a D, and then another C. So we're going to put that on the table. Our D was really an anomaly year for us, and there were just some circumstances that went on that were just truly out of the school's control. The reason we're asking for this is historically we do tend to lose our students, as our parents mentioned, as the oldest leaves 6th grade, and younger kids will often leave with them just because the parents want a single drop off at a K-8 model. Parents are also particularly concerned this year as there's a change in the local district. There are schools closing in the local district, as well as some movement to a 7-12 model, which parents are very hesitant about taking a current 6th grader and moving them into a 7-12 model for next year. Our parents love the small school environment that has been a huge part of their child's education, and they really do want to be able to stay and continue with us. Just in the continuation, as you heard a parent talk about changing models, changing schools, our school also works closely with our local with our school, Peoria Accelerated High School, so that students, if the parents choose, would be able to stay right with a K-8 model and then move into a 9-12 model, staying with us through their entire K-12 education. We do have room at DU to accommodate grades 7 and 8, and we have experience with grades 7 and 8 at some of our other campuses. Operationally and financially, our dashboards are solid. By adding grades 7, 8, we're going to create that K-8 program at DU that's going to meet the needs of our students and our parents. Kirsten Jones is our school leader, and I realize there's going to be some academic questions, and she's going to handle where we are academically currently and why we're here before you today. Thank you.
Good morning, President Monteith, Vice President Close, and Superintendent Designee Miller. My name is Kirsten Jones, and I am proud to serve as the school leader at Discover U Elementary. I want to begin with what matters most, our families. What we are hearing directly from them is clear. They want stability, consistency, and a school they can commit to and commit to them. That has guided every decision we've made, From day one, we have been intentional about building a strong school culture, a place where every student is known by name, face, and family, where engagement goes beyond the classroom through meaningful academic and community events. Our goal has always been simple: student growth and achievement. Over the past 2 years, we've made critical shift. We went back to the fundamentals and strengthened our instructional systems across Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. That includes structured coaching cycles with real-time feedback, more intentional and targeted small group instruction, and a standardized aligned tutoring program built in our school day. This year, we've deepened the work by bringing in reading and math consultants to strengthen content-specific instruction and teacher capacity. And we have seen results along the way. We've doubled our math growth and nearly doubled our reading growth this year. Currently, 83% of our students are meeting or exceeding growth in math, and 88% of our students are meeting reading growth. Our expected proficiency has also increased over this year, with 66% of our students projected to be proficient in math and 64% of our students being projected proficient in reading. This growth is not isolated. It is happening across student groups. For our SPED students, the percent of students meeting or exceeding expected growth has increased over the year. We have tripled projected proficiency in math and doubled in reading. And for our English learners, we have moved from 0 proficiency to 14% proficient on the Azella this year. And growth has increased this year from 31% to 91%. At the same time, we have removed barriers to learning. Chronic absence has decreased for 2 consecutive years, and 96% of our students consistently demonstrate positive behavior. We now have strong, sustained systems in place. We are seeing exceeding and constant academic growth, improved attendance, and increased outcomes across student groups. I thank you for considering our requests. I am proud of what we are accomplishing at Discover U. I look forward to improving life chances for more students, and most importantly, my families are asking for it. Thank you.
I'm going to just, board, are there any questions that we can answer or further elaborate on?
Questions, or do we want to wait for everybody? Member Jones?
No, we can wait for everybody if you
Okay.
have other.
All
Yeah,
right.
go ahead. That's fine.
Good morning, President Montier, Vice President Close. I just want to talk about our grades up, our report card grade, as I know that's a concern. I work very closely with all of our elementary schools, and for the past few years, I project our report card grades using our benchmark data that we collect throughout the year. So this year, I project that DU will be at a 72%, which is a B minus with the cutoff scores from last year. The way I got to this prediction, I used our IXL benchmark data, the proficiency and the growth you heard Ms. Jones talk about. We also have our Azella results, so those are actual results from this year. So we will move from 2 points last year for our EL population to 7 this year. Decreasing the chronic absence rate will give us our 2 points of there for our report card. So in using our growth, our proficiency from our IXL benchmark this year, those Azella results, and our chronic absenteeism, that's how I got to my prediction. Just so you know, last year I predicted them to be a 62%. They were 61. So we're pretty confident in that 72% letter grade. So any questions?
Now, Member Jones.
Okay. Well, first off, I just want to say, President Montier, board members, just want to say thank you. I can hear your passion when you speak, and it sounds like your passion for increasing academics, monitoring, progress monitoring. Really, we can tell that you really have
have laser focus on that right now. So we appreciate that. I know that this sounds like it's in response to a reorganization of K through 8 grade levels. You're trying to go to K through 8, and it's really in response to the parents and families that are requesting. So the 6th grade students that you have, all of those have confirmed to continue?
Yes, we have 100% re-enrollment.
That's fantastic. Okay. And then if they go into 7th grade, do you anticipate that you would likely get some new students into 8th grade just from the parents that are
Yes.
asking?
We've had quite a few inquiries about it.
Okay.
Currently in our enrollment, we are actually able to see if they want to enroll. And we have 3 waiting right now. And then I have 4 who have spoken to me personally, waiting to see, and kids want to come back. So.
Okay, good. All right. That's all I had questions about. Thank you.
Member Barr.
First, Rachel, you look like you need something to do. I'm curious, the numbers you gave us for schools in the area are just for K-6 schools. Do you have any information about schools within maybe a 5-mile radius that also serve 7 through 8?
I can actually answer that one.
Oh, goodness. Thank you.
Neener. No. When I ran the data, most of the schools, almost 100% of the schools within 5 miles are serving through K-8.
Okay.
So I think, I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but I can do that. I believe there are only like maybe 2 schools that aren't serving K-8, but it didn't sway the numbers very much at all. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Go back to sleep. It's okay.
I know this area very well, and I can tell you the districts in this area operate with K-8 models, and the bulk of the schools are district schools. So
Okay.
I will support what Shannon said and go back to my nap.
Thank you. I did have another question as well. I see you have plenty of space with your enrollment cap. I'm sure that's going to come up in a bit. As far as physical facilities, I teach on a campus that's K-12, and I know that there are some very large 8th graders who probably need to not be running around the same area as a bunch of kindergartners. So as far as your physical space, do you have the facility space for this edition? And if so, what's the plan to maintain distance?
Yes. Yes, we have the facility space. Our school is already organized in that capacity. So we have a separate building where we have pre-K through 2nd grade in one building. We have a large gymnasium that separates where our junior high would be versus our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders would be. They have no overlap as far as specials, recess, or lunch and our current schedule. And we're planning to continue that schedule. So they have 0 overlap with each other because they're in separate sides of the building.
Thank you. And quick side note, Elizabeth, is that right?
Yes.
I just want to say I've been teaching 6th grade for a while, and you did a fantastic job. I know how nerve-wracking it can be. So well done. Yeah.
Other questions, comments, feedback? If not, I have. Wait. Oh, Carlos. Member Ruiz. Sorry.
Hello. Have you thought of, are you going to have different bell schedules too? My daughter, when we were Tanque Verde, was kind of going through some growth, and they until they separated and created just a high school, they had 7th and 7th, 8th, and then the high school, and they just kind of created a bell schedule so that the older kids never really came in contact at all because they were in different rooms at different times. So I don't know if you address that or if that is possibly something under consideration.
We currently already operate in a separate schedule. Our 5th and 6th grade currently operate like junior high on a separate side of the building. So we have teachers currently rotating classrooms. So they already operate in that capacity, and their schedule is different than our I would say K4. And so we're already operating in that capacity. So it wouldn't be an additional change to our school. They're already used to that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to piggyback on that. I actually want to talk about some staffing and see what your spiraling up curriculum looks like. So just kind of putting the little
seeds out there for you to speak about however you choose to. But if we're looking at increasing 2 grade levels, what does that look like? What is the prep for the next grade level? And how are you going to spiral up, both academically and socially, et cetera, and member bar?
Really quick, maybe I'm misreading this. I was under the impression next year you're just adding 7th and then the following year adding 8th?
Yes.
Okay.
Not both at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Not both
Right.
at the
And
same
that's why I
time.
want to know what the spiraling up looks like. I want to know what the curriculum looks like. I want to know how it's a slow growth, which is great, but I want to know what that looks like so that we can kind of have a complete picture.
Absolutely. So our plan is to use the exact same curriculum, K-8. We will be using specifically EL education for our reading program, and that will be across the grade levels so that there is no specific change in reading. And then also for math, our math curriculum, our training is in CPA. And so across the board, K-8, we will continue with that model, learning concrete pictorial abstract, because we have seen that work across the board. We will continue with instructional practice with small group instruction, because just because they're going to the 7th grade doesn't mean they don't need those needs. We still have students that we need to perform, at grade level. So we will continue with the same interventions. We have the same teachers. Next year, we do not have to hire a new teacher because we already have enough teachers to fulfill the capacity of the students, which is why we're doing the slow growth. And then when we add 8th grade, we'll add an additional teacher. Our concept with our older students is they will have more electives, as far as we will be doing entrepreneurship for them and life skills, so that it can help prepare them, and doing a lot of aligning with our high school to make sure they're prepared in 8th grade once we transition with the 8th graders. I hope that answered your question.
That answered my question on the academics. Now let's go to the social.
Yes.
And the reason I'm going to address that, and forgive me for being a little bit crass here, but when they get into middle school, these lovely children, aliens come and inhabit their bodies. And these lovely children that we had in 5th grade and 6th grade turn into people we don't really know.
Yes.
They tend to not really focus on education or academics or anything other than what their friend's doing next to them. Ask me how I know. And then the aliens are done with them in 9th grade, and they're these just random, really big people that are very confused.
Yes.
And then we have humans moving forward.
Absolutely.
So talk to me about what it looks like socially, because middle school is its own special land.
I know. Yes. So we do have a school counselor who works with our character building, and part of the things that she do is she does go into classrooms and do character building with our students. With our junior high, we have been having a lot of conversations with both of our junior high teachers as well as our counselor, and planning on what that will look like for them, what social emotional we have to work with them, and providing a space for them to be able to figure things out and learn how to problem solve and character building. So we're in the process of building that with our teachers that will teach junior high, as well as our counselor and myself as well.
Do we have any other questions? No? Let me just check online real quick. Nope. Okay. If there are no other questions, do we have a motion? Oh,
I'll make a motion.
oh well, surprise, surprise, Member Jones.
I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the request to add grades 7 and 8 to contract of Kaizen Education Foundation, DBA Discover You. And I believe
Motion.
that's it.
Yes, motion was made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Oh. Okay, we're giving it to Member Barr. Man, Member Snyder, you're just getting sorry. Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Miss Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Miss Foster,
Aye.
Miss Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Monteith.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Congratulations. And
Or
more
thank you.
importantly, good luck. Middle school. Just saying.
You know, my son is in middle school, and while I know what you're saying is true, it still scares me.
It's terrifying. I've had 6 go through middle school in addition to being a K-12 school. So there you go. Oh, it is. I mean, love them, but
Okay, and we are moving on to agenda item J1, Compliance Matters, Southern Arizona Community Academy. Presentation by Ashley.
Bear with me because this is a long one, so get ready. Southern Arizona Community Academy, Inc. currently operates 2 schools, Southern Arizona Community Academy High School, serving grades 9 through 12 in Tucson, and SACA Online, an AOI serving grades 9 through 12 statewide. The charter was granted a 20-year renewal contract in 2014. This charter holder was before the board at the April 7, 2026 board meeting for consideration of a change in charter control amendment request. The request had not been submitted prior to the transition taking place. Subsequently, after reviewing the materials and testimony from both the charter holder and successor, the board voted to deny the change in charter control amendment request and directed staff to mark the charter holder's operational dashboard as falls far below in Area 2E, obligations to the board, for failing to timely submit the required amendment request for the board's prior consideration. Therefore, this item is being brought before the board today for consideration of non-compliance with the terms of the charter holder's contract. It should be noted that the board staff has documented multiple conversations with both the charter holder and successor over the past several years, informing both parties that transferring ownership, assigning or delegating a right, interest, or duty of a charter contract or a change of officers, members, or partners would require prior board approval through an appropriate process. This information is included in the communication timeline in the board materials and in the executive summary. In addition, on January 15, 2026, the charter received notification and letter of concern that if attendance reporting issues were not addressed that have been pervasive and consistent throughout the past few years, that the charter holder may be brought before the board for disciplinary action. The charter holder is before the board for consideration of non-compliance with attendance reporting requirements and documentation. The charter holder has demonstrated consistent and pervasive issues with attendance reporting and the ability to produce adequate and timely attendance records when requested by board staff over the past several years. Additional detail about these issues is outlined in the board materials. Due to the charter holder's continued inability to sufficiently account for its on-campus attendance and timely provide attendance documentation when requested, the charter holder has failed to comply with applicable laws, rules, regulations, and provisions of the charter contract relating to attendance records. Further, due to the charter holder not demonstrating remedies that have resulted in prompt and sufficient movement toward compliance and the student safety concerns raised by not being able to account for which students are on campus, the charter holder's dashboard has also been marked as a falls far below in Measure 2B, attendance reporting. Pursuant to ARS 15183R and AAC Administrative Code R75403F, if the board determines a charter holder does not meet the board's minimum operational performance expectations, it should be considered the charter holder's noncompliance and may be subject and may subject the charter holder to additional charter oversight as outlined in Article 6 of the Administrative Code, including issuing a notice of intent to revoke the charter contract. For these reasons, the board is to determine whether evidence exists that the charter holder is in breach of one or more provisions of its charter contract and/or federal, state, or local laws regarding their failure to meet the operational performance expectations set forth in the board's operational performance framework for having received 2 measures rated falls far below standard. And with that, I'm available for questions.
Questions?
Quick
Yes, Member
question.
Barr.
I just want to clarify, we are just talking right now about the issues with attendance submission and not about the information we talked about at the last meeting with the scoping, with the change. We're talking about both of those?
To clarify, we are not currently reviewing a change in charter control amendment request. That request was already denied. Instead, you have 2 reasons for non-compliance that is being considered today. One being that they entered into a contract and changed ownership and duties that were not previously approved or prior approved by our board, which is a violation of the contract. And the second being that they have not been able to provide us accurate attendance reporting.
Okay, so we are taking under consideration the events of our previous meeting, just, okay, I understand now. Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Other questions?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Member Snyder.
And Ashley, just to be clear, on both these matters, you and other staff board staff have had discussions with all the parties here, in a time which would have given them an opportunity to remedy it in an appropriate way or within our standards.
As to the change in charter control, we did work with them to put that request in front of you, which gave them the opportunity to request that in front of the board. But prior to that, we had multiple conversations with both the charter representative of the school and also the entity that was taking over the contract in different situations to inform them what the process was. As to the attendance reporting issues, yes, we have had multiple instances where we have given information and guidance to that charter about our concerns through either the audit process or our monitoring processes.
Thank you.
Member Jones.
Ashley, this is so through the monitoring process for attendance, did that include visits to the school, like pop-in visits, and can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, and Rachel, jump in as the one that oversees the site visit process. But yes, dating back a few years, our board staff did go out multiple times to review student records and looked at attendance reporting at that time. But yes, there are multiple visits, and most recently we went in March to go and visit the school and looked at attendance.
So based on the most recent visit in March, were there responses that were provided as to how to remedy the situation that the operator provided?
So I think I'm going to answer that a little differently than you asked it. So in January of this year, Ashley issued a letter of concern to this charter holder outlining the variety of attendance issues that have persisted over the course of the past several years. In that letter, her direction to the charter was to take appropriate action to remedy the issues. After that letter was issued, we visited the school site on March 26th of this year to revisit the issue and see, okay, we've had these issues in the past. Has this been remedied? When members of staff arrived at the school, they were not provided any attendance documentation while they were on site. The individual who represented themselves as the attendance clerk and the individual who represented themselves as the registrar were unable to provide any current day attendance records or past attendance records to staff when requested. Per our processes, the charter holder was then given 48 hours to provide that documentation. But I think it should be noted that it is very rare that we would walk up to attendance clerk at a school or a registrar or someone and not for them to be able to go into the SIS system, pull a report, print it out, and hand it to us on site at any given time.
President Martin.
Yes, ma'am.
So did they comply in 48 hours with the attendance?
So for the most recent visit, yes, they did provide us the documentation within 48 hours. I think it is important to note that more than one member of board staff has reviewed those attendance records, and we were provided attendance records for the prior 2 weeks, which was because staff had arrived the prior week and they had been closed. So we wanted to confirm that they were truly, in fact, closed. It was spring break. And we asked for specific attendance for the day we arrived. We are unable to get those two reports, the 2-week report and the single day report, to match for the day board staff was on campus. We get different numbers when we look at the two documents we were provided. Additionally, I think it's important to note that those documents appear to be spreadsheets. They are not reports in the SIS system that would be transmitted to ADE. So we are uncertain what's being reported to ADE at this time. We only know what they're tracking on site via their spreadsheets, which we have quite a bit of confusion about.
Thank you.
Member Swanson, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, President Montier. Are we going to hear from the charter representatives, or are we in question mode now?
No, we are going to hear from the charter representatives. We were just asking questions of board staff first before I call a representative up.
Okay, then I'll hold my question.
Okay, I have one other question, and it might be for the charter representative, but I'm going to ask it anyway. With regards to the SIS, Student Information System, just for anybody who doesn't know what SIS stands for, has there been any sort of, I mean, typically what board staff does is provide some education before there's some letter of direction before. So can we get a little bit of background about what that looks like and what has already happened for the school?
Multiple audits had identified issues with the charter's reporting of attendance. And so during our audit process, put them under a corrective action plan and worked with the charter to get their communication and documentation that they were working to update their SIS system at that time. Our understanding in the closeout of that is that they would then be working with the Department of Education through the 15915 process to update their data. It is our understanding that in the most recent audit that there were some additional concerns that were identified in how students were being reported through an online and some questions that were presented during the compliance questionnaire. So what we are bringing to you is that there are concerns raised about what information is being reported to ADE through their SIS, but the action that you'd be taking is that the charter is unable to provide us accurate attendance records of day of when we are there.
And
when
just
requested.
to be clear, because I know that we've got the double school situation where we have the bricks and mortar and we have the online. So what we are addressing is the charter as a whole, where both schools fall under that charter umbrella. Is that accurate or inaccurate?
For attendance reporting, we are talking about both schools.
Okay.
In AOI and brick and mortar.
And breach of contract is for the charter.
The charter.
Okay.
And I think it should be noted that when we went to the school and we asked for brick and mortar attendance, like who was there in person, they were not able to provide that either.
Okay. Any other questions for board staff? Okay, do we have a representative from the charter? Good morning.
Good afternoon. I know. I
Oh, it's
thought we'd get to
afternoon.
I thought we'd get to morning, but no.
TikTok. Sorry.
Exactly. So, board members, my name is Lynn Adams. I am legal counsel for Southern Arizona Community Academy, which I'll just call SACA because otherwise I'll probably trip over it while we talk about it. Lalo and Terry, who were here last month, are online and able to talk to you. Also, we have Jim Lee here, who's from Graduation Solutions, and Lalo and Terry Kubelis, who Lalo is the charter representative. Their daughter, Cindy, who handles attendance issues, is also online and able to address. But before we get to that, I wanted to provide some context here. And for those of you who know me, I'm super blunt, so I'm just going to start out by saying, we're going to ask you to give this school a consent agreement that they can work through some of these issues. So that's what we're asking instead of issuing a notice of intent to revoke. So this school serves an alternative population. They have been a B school for the last 3 years, so they meet your academic performance standards. They also meet all of your financial performance standards. What we're here really for, again, are those two operational issues. One of them is the change in charter control issue that was addressed last month, and then again, the issue regarding attendance reporting. So let me talk about the change in charter control. I think there is a bit of a disconnect here with the board's finding last month and the facts. If you remember your motion was not based on the merits of the change in charter control. Your motion was that they'd asked for it too late. So you didn't, at least that's the motion that passed. You didn't say that these individuals were not qualified to take over, but simply that it had come too late. So let's talk about that. At the last meeting, we noted that the parties had signed the agreement. I think Lalo mentioned that he'd gotten bad legal advice. I was not his lawyer. Just make that clear. And they signed the agreement, and then they started to change the board members. They changed one board member, And then they submitted an amendment request to change the next board member. At that point, board staff reached out and said, hey, wait, what's going on here? As they should, as they did. And they withdrew the board member change. So the board has never transferred control to Graduation Solutions. The board continues to be controlled by SACA. The change never took place. In essence, once the board staff talked to the charter holder and said, you shouldn't have done this, you needed to ask our permission, they stopped. They almost wrote into their own contract a contingent clause, which is, we will not take these additional actions to change the board members until and unless we get board approval. And then they worked to submit the change in charter control amendment request, which apparently was too late, regardless of the merits of it, because that was your action last time. So Graduation Solutions proposed board members do not currently control the board. The agreement has not been fully implemented because of the need to obtain your consent first. So Graduation Solutions has provided and does provide some operational support to this school. But that is no different than hundreds of charter schools in this state that work with a CMO or an EMO to provide operational support to their schools. If that were the case, if having somebody else by contract provide operational support to a school was a change in control, you would have hundreds of schools that are out of compliance. It cannot be the case that simply having another entity provide operational support, like attendance reporting or anything else, is a change in charter control pursuant to a contract. That's what Graduation Solutions is doing now. That's it. They don't control the board. They're providing some operational support. So some of the four examples of ways in which this charter is in violation of this requirement are that Graduation Solutions has been involved in attendance reporting. And again, I would submit that there are many schools with CMOs and EMOs across the state who have other entities involved in their attendance reporting. Graduation Solutions is a co-lessee with the school. Again, there's nothing in state law or your rules that prohibits that at all. That Graduation Solutions has provided insurance for the school. Again, not a violation of state law or of any regulations. And then the school noted that we got them involved in some of the school's operational issues. I've already addressed that. They are. We're not, again, I'm not going to say they're not. Graduation Solutions is involved in some of their operational issues. Again, at the last meeting, the board denied the change in charter control amendment request solely on the basis that the parties had started the transition, not on the basis or the merits of the amendment request itself. They did start the transition, but they never completed the transition, and control has never been transferred to Graduation Solutions. So I believe that the factual predicate for the falls far below, did I get that right? Falls far below mark on the operational dashboard is simply wrong. So one of the requests of an amendment, a consent agreement, would be that SACA and Graduation Solutions would like another opportunity to submit a change in charter control amendment request for your consideration. And they would do so promptly within the next 3 months by the end of August to make sure they would not transfer control until this happens, if it's approved. They would do it again. One of the issues noted in the last amendment request that you discussed last month was a lack of communication between the current SACA and Graduation Solutions. And again, absolutely correct. But SACA felt like it was in a really hard spot. It had been told, hold off, you cannot take any additional steps to implement this agreement. And you have to make sure that you don't involve Grad Solutions too much in your operations. So it was sort of, maybe it didn't do it right, but it felt like it wasn't supposed to be chatty with Grad Solutions about a lot of things, that was what it was trying to do its best to comply with staff's direction. And in fact, the fact that Graduation Solutions didn't get a copy of the letter of concern about the attendance reporting issues demonstrates that they're not in control. Again, SACA was trying to handle these things on its own. It didn't know and it didn't think that it could share as much information with Graduation Solutions without sort of shooting itself in the foot. So both of SACA and Graduation Solutions, they understand the need to work together now. They're committed to working together to submit an additional change in charter control amendment request if you allow them to do so. And again, I would propose that that would be a term of a consent agreement, and that there would be a time by which they would need to do so. And then you could decide it on the merits, because again, you did not decide it on the merits. You may have thought you did, but that was not your motion at the last board meeting. So let me talk about the attendance reporting issue. And I'm going to talk high level because, I barely know what SIS means, but I do know what SIS means. So they have been working diligently to address the concerns about these attendance reporting issues. I know that the staff report says that there have been many issues over years, but any of those issues have been resolved. So as the staff report notes, the school was in full compliance with its attendance reporting as of February 28th, 2024, after working with ADE to correct its reporting using the Section 15915 process. The school received a letter from Andrea Leader that indicated that the matter for the fiscal year 2022 audit had been resolved. For fiscal year 2023, there were no audit issues and the school was in good standing. Same for fiscal year 2024. We're really talking about the only open and outstanding issues are for this fiscal year. The school's been very open about its challenges. So let me talk about the SIS issues. So in 2021, they changed from Schoolmaster, which stopped operating, to Tyler SIS. They were working with Tyler SIS until this year when Tyler SIS said, hey, we're done too. So they changed from Tyler SIS to Power School. And the issue has been a reporting from Power School to ADE. That is their issue. And that's why they're using a spreadsheet, because there's some kind of communication issue. I'm not even going to pretend that I know what it is, but it basically is not communicating. So they have engaged the lead for the Arizona Power School Users Group, Veronica Preciado. They've been working with her to try to resolve this issue. They have met all deadlines for providing information about the issue to state board staff. Its auditor is currently, the school's auditor is currently working with ASBCS staff to provide additional testing information. The auditor hasn't noted any concerns and recently confirmed that based on their testing, SACA was accurately following its ITM, its instructional time model. They did random testing of 3 or 4 students, their attendance reporting, and found nothing. That was within the last 2 weeks. There's an outstanding deadline, I believe it's noted in the staff report, for some additional follow-up, and they have every intention of meeting that. So as another term of the consent agreement, we would propose that SACA would hire an independent consultant that would be approved by the state board staff to work to rectify the attendance reporting issue as soon as possible, but certainly by July 15th. If they have to go through the 15915 process, they will, to make sure that it's correct. Again, maybe that consultant would be Veronica Preciado. I don't know, but that would certainly, again, it would be somebody that your board staff would approve. And then last but not least, the final term of the consent agreement that we believe would be helpful is for SACA to meet with the board staff once every month. This has been helpful in other consent agreements for other clients, to talk about compliance issues, where things stand, so that we can get ahead of issues if necessary, to have that communication. So it could be every month, every 2 months, to basically discuss the status of this issue and any other compliance issues. So that's my pit. The school, we have members of the school. We have Jim Lee from Graduation Solutions to address any questions that you may have. If you have any of me, from like sort of high level legal perspective, I'm happy to answer them, but I know that you don't actually want to hear from me. I get that. I totally get, nobody wants to hear from a lawyer. I totally get that. I'm living with it now. So, but if you have any, let me know. Otherwise, we'll move on to the people you want to hear from.
Okay, so Member Swanson, it looks like we have Superintendent Designee Miller and Member Swanson. I know Member Swanson, you had questions before. To whom shall we direct these questions?
I'm not sure.
Okay, then Ms.
But
Adams, hang out.
Yeah,
Just in
no,
case.
I think the counsel for the school, who is very well spoken, I just want to get a clarification that you kind of stated that there was no change in control, and so we were erroneous in our motion, but weren't they in front of the board for a change control that they requested?
They did, but they did not. What they did is they started down that path. And then as soon as the board staff reached out to them, they withdrew their amendment request for a change in a board member that would have changed control of the charter board, of the school's board, the charter holder board. Sorry, I get all the boards. It would have changed control of the charter holder board. They withdrew that request and kept the control with the board, with the two board members that are SACA board members. And they made the necessary changes with the Arizona Corporation Commission too. So they started down that path, Member Swanson, just like every school who comes before you for an amendment request for a change in charter control. They've signed agreements generally, or there's some contingent language that this is not going to be operational. We're not going to actually take these steps until and unless the State Board for Charter Schools gives us approval. And so in essence, that's what they did. They don't have they don't have a provision in that contract that says that, but they sort of wrote one in, sort of like, oh, hey, now we know, and we're not going to take any additional steps. And they have not taken any additional steps since they were contacted by board staff and said, stop it, basically. And board staff was within their right to do that. It's not my shorthand of stop it is not meant to be derogatory. It is simply that they stopped. And just like any entity, the control of the entity is by its board. That's who makes the decisions. That is who I take my direction from, for example. That's your board. Your board makes the final decisions. And so right now that the SACA board is not controlled by Graduation Solutions because they withdrew those amendment requests to add the additional Graduation Solutions members that were contemplated by the agreement.
Okay, and I might ask staff, Ashley, or whoever's appropriate to respond, but it feels like when we were at the last meeting, and pardon my phrasing, but that we're, more than half pregnant on this process, and that the school and Graduate Solutions had been given a lot of notice about what had to be done and the timing of things that had been done. And some of that had been either bypassed, or I won't, say ignored, but let's just say bypassed. Can the staff comment on that for me, please?
Yes, Member Swanson. I had conversations with Graduation Solutions in past conversations about them actually working to take over other charters. So it wasn't actually with SACA, so I should be clear about that. My conversations with Graduation Solutions was always about them potentially acquiring or taking over or taking ownership, transferring, however you want to define it, taking over other schools. And so in those conversations, yes, I was very clear to indicate that there were processes that the charter or the Graduation Solutions needed to go through in order to get a charter, whether that was through the new charter application or a change in charter control that would need to go in front of the board prior to the transfer, or if they were to change over board members, that those board members would need to go in front of the board for its approval as well.
Okay, thank you. And then if I may go on to attendance.
Mr. Swanson, in addition to that.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm going to hand it over to Rachel just to talk through a little bit of the change in board membership and then also the contractual language that we have.
So I do want to address some of the statements that were just made regarding whether this transition had or had not taken place in advance of the filing of the change in charter control. I think it's important to note that the stock purchase and sale agreement, which was included in the prior board materials and is included in these materials, the very first line of that agreement says this stock purchase and sale agreement dated as of March 27th, 2024 is entered into by and between and names the two parties and is signed and on the signature page does state, please hold while I scroll, executed as of the effective date stated in the introductory paragraph. So according to that agreement and our understanding of that agreement, this took place in March of 2024. In addition to that, related
Can
to
I
this-
stop you real quick?
Yes.
Can you just, for those of us who are not high level, sorry, I'm not, what exactly the stock purchase agreement is? Just give me some,
Give me one
the Reader's Digest.
It's a sale of the business.
Thank you. I just,
Essentially.
some clarification on that. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I was understanding correctly. Thanks.
And just, and part of the terms, so that was true. And then part of the terms are changes in the board membership that were supposed to happen. And so that's when the board staff got involved, is when they started making those changes in the board membership for the school. And so they didn't follow through with that. So even though it's been executed, they did not follow through with all of the terms because they realized that they needed to get your approval.
In addition to that, we pulled up, and this was in your prior board materials and is in these materials as well, we pulled up the history with the Arizona Corporation Commission as to the officers, members, directors, and partners that were on file with the Arizona Corporation Commission over time relative to that March 2024 date. In August of 2024, the board remained as it was prior to that March date. But in September of 2024, Graduation Solutions was added to the Corporation Commission as a shareholder, and Jeremiah Lee, which I believe is Mr. Lee's son, was added as either an officer, member, director, or partner. Then in October, Mr. Lee was removed. Graduation Solutions stayed as the shareholder. In January, Mr. Lee, James Lee, was added. Graduation Solutions remained as the shareholder. And then in February, the shareholder was put back to being Abelardo Cubias. So they had made these changes with the Corporation Commission consistent with the stock purchase and sale agreement.
That is absolutely correct. And then when they got contacted by the State Board for Charter Schools, they undid them.
Wait. So just to be clear, because there were a lot of dates. March 27th, 2024, stock purchase sale agreement. Did I get that right? Okay, great.
Correct.
And then Corporation Commission, September of 2024, Grad Solutions was made the shareholder, and Mr. Lee Jr., is that fair to say? Mr. Lee, not you, was placed on the board. Then in October, Grad Solutions remained the shareholder, but Mr. Lee was removed from the board. And then in January, Mr. Lee, that's present, is that correct, was placed on the board, and then in February was removed. I'm sorry, I got a little confused right there.
In February, he remained on the board.
He remained on the board.
But the shareholder changed from Grad Solutions to Mr. Cubias.
Uh-huh.
And then sorry, my brain had to do months. April, after we spoke with Mr. Cubias, Mr. Lee was removed.
And when did the board, I just had the question and it went away. When did the board, I hate to sound like, I want to say jump in and start recognizing that there were concerns, but that does not sound professional. At what point did board staff identify that there was a concern and address those concerns? Because it sounds like this went all the way back to 24, and then there were changes made, in the last, let's just say 6 months.
So when a board member is changed, it comes to me for approval. And I noticed when Mr. Lee was added to the board and it was in front of me for approval that we had a situation where we potentially had a change in charter control. And at that time, that's when they withdrew the amendment request to add Jim Lee to their board. So that's when the changes started to.
Okay, so boy, there were two Lees. Hold on. Jim was the January Lee.
Yeah, hold on back.
Sorry.
My apologies.
I'm
Sorry,
not trying
I was
to
looking
be
for digital
rude.
communication.
I'm just trying to keep track of the Lees
September 2024, Jeremiah Lee.
because they're both start with a J, so I can't even
Correct.
say J Lee. All right, Jeremiah.
Yep. January 2025, James.
Okay. And so were you aware of the Jeremiah Lee?
We were not.
Okay. How does that work?
They subsequently removed him before coming to us for that approval.
Good to know. Okay, thanks. Oh, hold on. We've got a lot of questions. All right. And I'm sorry, I was talking, so I was not paying attention. We have Superintendent Designee Miller, we have Member Ruiz, and we have Member Stratton. I don't know who was first.
President Montier, did I still have
Sure.
the floor?
Oh, and I'm so well, and I just jumped right in front of Member
Well,
Saunders.
I can wait, because I do have a question. What is the status of the 2024 stock sale agreement? Is it still in effect? Or has it been nullified?
My understanding is has not been nullified, but not all of the provisions have been implemented pending this board's approval of a change in charter control amendment request.
Okay, and I'm not being a lawyer, but it does seem problematic that that document was executed, so this goes to attendance and something else that I want to mention.
Okay.
So, charter schools, and I've talked about this a lot, and all the members know this, that it's not just about education, it's about operational and financial compliance. And the academics are important, but the other two important too, because that we are putting enormous amounts of state dollars in the hands of charter operators to make sure that we're doing the right things. So, one, they need to know what the rules are. If they're gonna move the school to someone else, and it sounds like they knew what to do, and they went ahead and sort of started the process, but didn't know, but only stopped when the board said, "Hey, this isn't right." That seems like a problem. The second issue, and I'm going to just go to attendance now, is I heard you talk about, Diana, a 22 thing that was closed and a 23, I think. I didn't write it down. But if those matters are closed, but the issue persists, to me, the issue still persists, and the essence of the matter has never been fixed. And to say that the school is in compliance with everything, when they went and tried to get attendance and they weren't able to get it, and then they said, "Well, get it to us in 48 hours." They deserved, the state charter board deserved to get that at that moment, then not 48 hours later. So that doesn't make that okay. It means they gave them 48 hours to give it to them. And that to me is, comes along the lines of fingerprints, which drive me crazy. And it is a school safety issue. We have to know who's in the school at that moment. And so to me, this thing it's really, really messy and really hard for me to get my arms around everything that's going on. I hear what you're saying about they didn't really do it, but kind of did. And I'm not sure that I agree with how I need to go back and read our motion. But I believe that the motion, and I don't know if it read properly, but that they had sort of jumped the gun. They had executed a purchase and sale agreement. They came up before the board for this, and I'm not sure that I agree with your characterization, but I'm really, really also very troubled by the attendance, and this has been not something that's been resolved, but a pervasive issue.
So I'm happy to address those issues. You're right. I'm not going to pretend that they entered into that agreement and they shouldn't have. I mean, they did. Maybe they should have known. They got legal advice that wasn't right. That's on them. That's not an excuse, but I'm not going to pretend that that was a good thing. But you heard Lalo and Terry last month talk about the fact that they didn't know, and when they heard from the board and Executive Director Berg just said this too, when they heard, they withdrew their amendment request, and they did not proceed with that amendment request to add the new board member. So your motion last month said that basically they entered into a stock purchase and sale agreement that included the transfer of operations records and personal property used in connection with the operation of the school, and began implementation of the agreement prior to requesting or receiving approval from the board. They did. That is absolutely true. We tried to rectify it by submitting a change in charter control amendment request. We were hoping that you would look at that on its merits and decide whether or not that was appropriate, because otherwise it was sort of a like, hey, if you were already going to tell us we were too late, then why do we go through this of submitting the change in charter control amendment request? So we'd like an opportunity to try that again. Again, I'm not trying to sugarcoat things. Yeah, you may not agree with my characterization, but I'm not going to tell you that everything is hunky-dory. But that's why they want to enter in a consent agreement. They're a B school. They serve an alternative population. They've been a B school for 3 years. They have had attendance reporting issues in the past. They've rectified them to the satisfaction of the state board. This latest one popped up because of their change once again from, what was it, Tyler Sis to
Power School.
Tyler Sis to Power School. Again, not something that they chose. It's because Tyler Sis stopped operating or stopped providing services for them. So that has caused, I see online that we have Cindy, Cindy Kubelis, who is oversees the attendance reporting, and I think she can answer your questions probably better, Member Swanson, than, well, I know she can, better than I could. Absolutely. So Cindy, if you want to answer or provide some comments, I think that would be helpful on the attendance piece.
Thank you, Lynn. Good afternoon, board members. I know that I can tell that you guys have questions, and there are several things that I would like to respond with. And going back to the SIS information, again, in 2020, the 21-22 school year, we started our implementation into into Tyler SIS. We went through 22 trainings with Tyler SIS through the year to get set up. When we set up with Tyler, we are set up differently. We're an alternative school, and it was set up incorrectly. And that created numerous errors in attendance reporting to the state. And that was due to how our courses and their sections set up, and it affected their schedule. When we realized that was the issue, I reached out to Tyler. I had to elevate this to actually the senior executive in order to get help with this. We were able to make contact finally with somebody. Her name was LaWanda Noonley, and she was a support manager. She was able to identify the setup errors caused by the setup, and informed me that they could not make the corrections, that I would have to make them. And this was a huge and very time-consuming process. I had to correct thousands of course and section data before I could go in and correct student attendance to get that done. And that resulted in the 915. All of this process is documented and sent to Andrea Letter, including the email correspondence with the Tyler personnel. It set SACA back on reporting. However, I worked diligently to get caught up every year and to get into compliance. And we did receive a letter from Andrea Letter in April of 2024 that the issues from 2022 had been resolved. As far as I see in some of the materials, that it states that we had audit findings for attendance in 2020, the school year 2020. We do not. we do not have issues. The issues that were found in the 2020 audit were part of the financial performance action plan, the operational framework, and the attendance there were no findings. When I look through this and going back to again, we knew that Tyler SIS was going to be ending. We were told that the services were going to be ending on September 30th, 2025. Tyler asked us if we wanted to stay with them until that date, and we agreed, allowing us time to start setup and training with our new vendor, which would be Power School. We were under the impression that we would be able to start the school year with Tyler SIS and then transfer the SIS reporting to the state to Power School after the 9/30/25 deadline. And working with Mary Womack, a senior software support specialist, to close out the 2025 school year, the 24/25 school year, and prepare for the next school year, we were informed that on 7/7/25 that there was no development for the 25/26 school year with Tyler SIS. And this put us in a huge time crunch to try to get set up with Power School. We did reach out to Norm Purdy for help, and he put us in contact with Veronica Preciado, who is the lead, as Lynn stated, for the Arizona Power Schools user group and the senior support student information system for the Vail School District. We did contract with Veronica to help us be able to set this up. And as we discussed with one of the, I believe it was with Rachel, and discussed with Cassie O'Quinn and other members that are other visits at the school, Power School is a shell. It's a shell system that basically they have to go in and they pull in other things or other types of reports. And I can't think of the name for it, in order to create the system that we need. But it is a shell system from the beginning. It's bone. So it took a process. When in the August visit, when Cassie O'Quinn came on August 13th for her pop-in visit, I explained to her that I could not provide a list of students because I had no idea. We did not have a working Power School system. I provided them with the students that we had working in PLP. And I was very honest with them from the start about our situation with Power School and everything that we were trying to do to get that rectified. Going back to as far as when they wanted the information, and I go to August 13th, 25, the pop-in visit, the request for information was sent to ASBCS on August 15th. The school pop-in visit on September 23rd, 2025, the requested information was sent to the ASBCS. The pop-in visit on December 9th, again, requested information was sent to them on 12/11. We did receive the letter from letter of concern in January of 26, and then again another visit, pop-in visit, March 26. Again, information was sent in a timely manner. The reason why, and we have explained this to the staff members that have come, that we cannot provide a full day of attendance, and we asked to be able to send that to them, is because we do allow our students to work remotely from home, which is from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. So we would not be able to provide sufficient or adequate attendance documentation for that day until the day has ended, because then we would be able to mark this student was worked online for this day. They could have logged in at 6:55 p.m. and worked after that. So it would have been after that the board staff had been there. I have provided the staff with login and log out times of the students, as well as mark them as the students and their wish login time that they were working remotely. I lost my train of thought. One second, please. And I would like to add that I was on medical leave. I went on medical leave at the end of January, and upon my return, being faced with this information and what is being requested. I met with Norm Purdy and Veronica to discuss our current situation and to make a plan to get us up to date as best as we could to be in compliance with the state board. And I've also had multiple conversations with Dan Millant this year to discuss how we're going to change our attendance procedures for the next school year. We absolutely want to be in compliance with the state, and we have done everything that we could. And going as far back and in my timeline that I have, whenever there has been an issue that has been brought to our attention, we have done everything we could to get into compliance with the state requests. Every time that we would send the documentation to the State Board for Charter Schools, the only feedback that we received was that it was received. I would have loved to have had a notice or a direction, something that they found, hey, we're seeing this, or we are unsure about this. What does this mean? So that I would have the opportunity to clarify that if there were any questions. And I was never given that opportunity to do so. So I'm open for any further questions. I hope that answers some.
President Monteith, if I may add some additional information.
Actually, I'm going to pause you just super quick. Member Snyder, you have 10 minutes. Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I was aware of the time constraints. Member Snyder has some time constraints. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page.
And
not that I'm giving him a time frame. Okay. Sorry.
And to let all the board members know, Ms. Foster had to jump off as well during this item. So just so that everyone is clear for the record. I want to clarify a few things here. Mrs. Kubius did mention that there were audit findings and there are audit issues and that we did close those out. And that is true, right? We do not require complete checks, and we do not check the validity of the 15915s that are reported to ADE. That is within ADE's authority. And so once we are assured that the process has been submitted with ADE for that 15915, that completes out our process, right? So I want to make sure that is clear. We are not checking for the accuracy of the information at that time. In addition to that, it was also mentioned that there are students that are at this brick and mortar campus that are being supported remotely. And I want to make sure that there's a distinction between online and instructional time model, which is utilized via the brick and mortar. So online separate school, we'll call that the AOI, and then we have a brick and mortar that is also utilizing the instructional time model. When we have gone out to site visits, and I'll let Rachel talk about the site visits a little bit more, it has always been mentioned that the students that are not there are being serviced through instructional time model. In conversations with the Department of Education, I don't want, and again, I'm not going to get into the validity of the records that are being reported to ADE, because that's not the reason why we're here today. But in conversations with school finance did inform us that at no time has the school submitted instructional time via remote instruction that would be under the instructional time model. So as of right now, they do not have any students under that remote learning with ADE. I do want to move away from the SIS though and make sure that we clarify what we were looking at the site visits, because that's really why that's the importance of the attendance reporting that we brought this item. Because when we went to the site visits, we were not given the information that we would typically see a school having. So I'll give it over to Rachel.
So for those of you that operate in brick and mortar schools, and I know there are several of you on this board, you know that attendance for a brick and mortar school is reported on whether the student is sitting in the seat that day, not based on log-on minutes. Log-on minutes are for students who are in an online school or students who are operating or are being served via remote learning, ITM, distance learning, whatever term we want to use for that. Legally, it's ITM. So when we arrive at a school site, we are not asking for the log-on minutes. We are asking, give us an attendance record of who is sitting in seats today in your building. When we continue to get these records at that 48-hour mark, or when we get them, we find that the numbers we are receiving on those reports are not commensurate with the number of students sitting in the building in general. we have found over time they've gotten closer. So the most recent visit, we counted 13 students. They were reporting, depending on which sheet you look at, 17 or 12. So even within that, in looking, and I will be clear, I checked the timing on those logs that were provided to see, okay, our team was here from here to here, who was here from here to here. I can't get those numbers to match up. And that is the consistent and pervasive issue we've had with this. I think to punctuate what Ashley said about the ITM and the students ADE reporting that those students participating in remote learning are not being reported as remote students, they're being reported as brick and mortar students. We recently have gotten some access to ADE Connect. I can pull the ABSAT 10, which is the distance learning, you can use as the distance learning report. We are not able to see any students. We get a 0 count when we pull that report from the system for this charter. So I think the concern that our staff continues to have that kind of raised the issues to where we are today is we would go to the building and look at ADM and look at students sitting in seats and look at the attendance that were handed, and those numbers do not match up with one another, which raises concerns, not that they're not reporting properly, but that who's sitting in the seat is not what we're seeing on the reports that we're receiving.
And if I can just add on to that, everything that you said is correct, except that the ITM is a part of your reporting for your brick and mortar. An ITM is not an AOI reporting requirement. So brick and mortar reporting includes an ITM. That is part of brick and mortar attendance reporting. That is
if I could interject, the last count that you had said that we got close, you had asked for several different things that kind of overlapped. And one was the 12, you had asked for which students were brick and mortar that were on site. So you were given that. Then you asked for a full day's attendance. Well, we had several AOI students that were on site that day. So they were included in there. And then we marked the times that the students, whether, we have a digital curriculum, they clock in and they clock out. Everything is done that way. When they come into the school, we follow actually from the PLP, and we import. You did mention that you were looking at Excel reports. Well, that's how I was taught from Veronica, that when you create a report, it creates a CSV file that then you have to put into, to be able to read, into an Excel spreadsheet. And that came from Veronica about PowerSchool. So that is what you are seeing. And we do our best to match everything up. As far as the students that are on site, we have a staff member that is designated to be reaching out to both our AOI and our brick and mortar students daily. We do have absences. Have we reported those absences? To be very honest, for this year, we have not, because the meeting with Veronica and Norm Purdy in regards to setting up attendance in PowerSchool was not held until the end of November. Again, we have been dealing with issues of trying to get PowerSchool set up correctly for this school year. When that happened, it was the end of November. We had our 2 weeks of going into and everything that we had going on at school. Then we were on break. When we come back, I'm there for maybe a week and a half, and now I'm on medical leave. That pushed us back. When we get to this issue, as soon as I'm back, as I stated before, I have met with Norm and Veronica to create a plan to get us caught up for this school year, so that we do not have to have a 9:15 at the end of the year. So what you're seeing is correct, because attendance has not been reported yet, but it is not because of a failure necessarily on our part. We are doing what we can in a system that is still being built.
So I think, just to put hopefully an exclamation point or a punctuation mark on all of this, the school is not telling you that things are running smoothly. We're not going to pretend that they are. But what we would like is an opportunity to get them right, to make sure that things are working well as we move forward. If we don't meet the terms of the consent agreement, then you guys can go ahead and take whatever action you want to. But again, this is a B-rated school for 3 years. They have remedied the issues that have been raised in the past. They would like an opportunity to do that. They're happy to work with board staff to get direction, to work with a consultant. They understand there are some issues that need to be addressed. I think you can see with Cindy. Cindy's been trying hard. She is not pulling the wool over your eyes. She's telling you exactly what's good and what's not. And she's dedicated to working through this. This is her parents' school, and she wants to make it right. She wants to get this right.
And if I could add, Lynn, that our AOI has not had issues with attendance reporting. That this is solely the brick and mortar.
Okay, we have some hands up, so I'm going to try to run through the hands really quick, but I'm not sure who was up, so I'm just going to go in line on the screen. So that would be Superintendent Designee Miller, Member Ruiz, and then Member Stratton. That's what I have so far, and then I will, sorry, just one second. Member Snyder, do you have any questions? Because I know you have to leave here pretty quick. Or do you want to hear what everybody has to say? You can stay till 1:10. All right, everybody, you have approximately 9 minutes. Okay. All right.
And to add to that, President Monteith, Member Swanson also has a time conflict coming up as well.
Okay. Talk fast. Go, Superintendent Designee Miller.
Thank you, President Montier. Most of my questions were answered during conversation. I really understand the pressure of a small school and staff medical leave. Like I've been there multiple times. I've given up summers in order to make it work, right? Like we don't really get breaks as school administrators, especially if we're not set up to like report attendance because it is something we're funded on. And so we need to get it right. But I just wanted to share a little bit of context for fellow board members who don't work directly in, SIS. We were a Tyler SIS school. I was a schoolmaster, Tyler SIS school. And I mean no disrespect to the charter operator, but we received years of notice on the timeline, when the system would be unavailable, what we could expect. And so we made choices, within our school community to ensure that like we were positioned to make that transition. So I'm not saying it was easy. It was incredibly difficult, but it was possible and the information was available to us. And every school that comes before us as a board is having to find a way to make it work to submit their attendance accurately. And then I just had a clarifying question because I've heard that the interim time model discussed. But my understanding was there was no interim time model filed with ADE. So if maybe staff would be the best position to clarify that.
I think there was the instructional time model. Yeah, I believe that it was filed and it's been provided. So it was appropriately, and there's board minutes that were also provided, indicating when it was adopted in 2020, something a while ago. How's that?
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it. And I will pass so everyone
Member Miller, and just to punctuate what Lynn said, yes, this charter does have an ITM on file with ADE that's been on file for quite some time. They are just not reporting under that, students under that ITM, as far as we have been told by ADE and the reports we can pull.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Member Ruiz. Oh.
Okay, I'll be quick. Just having listened to this whole thing, having reviewed the information, something's broken here. We didn't break it, but we're being asked to put it back together. I'm probably one of the most flexible people on this board on trying to find a way to get broken back together, and I don't see it. So that's just my comment.
All right. Thank you very much. And Member Stratton? Going. Oh,
yeah.
there you are.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So, like Mr. Ruiz, I'm struggling with this one because, on one hand, there's a lot of things that are broken here. Looks like from an administrative standpoint, things are, I'll be very blunt, kind of a train wreck. Or they have been, but I I'm trying to take a step back and say, well, why are we really here? Would closure of this school benefit the students? You know, and I'll be honest, it's difficult when we can't even get the administrative things right. You know, I'm not an educator, but it doesn't give me a lot of confidence of the other things that are supposed to be going on in the school. But what I do know is that we do have a school here that apparently, from a metric standpoint, with our grading, I've heard we've had 3 Bs in a row, which is great. We serve an alternate population, which again is great. We know the challenges that come with that. I think there have been some missteps here, and I think, you know, for anybody else out there listening, you know, we're not here to tell you how to run your school and to put the pieces back together, but at the end of the day, you know, it is the school's responsibility. It sounds like a lot of this was started by perhaps working with a professional, someone who you were looking to guidance for on how to navigate, you know, some of these complex waters, you know, in terms of transfer of control issues and those things. And you unfortunately were dealing with someone who it sounds like didn't really know what they were doing, frankly. And I'll be honest with you, I probably wouldn't even be having this conversation and giving this as much consideration if you weren't working with Lynn Adams right now, because I know her capabilities and I know her character and how hard she works for her clients. So that's a major plus in my column, that you finally brought someone in that can, I believe, help straighten you guys out on these issues. So at the end of the day, you know, I'm trying to weigh whether or not closure or going the consent agreement route and giving you guys a short time to put things back together is in the best interest of the students. So that's kind of where I am. I know it's more of a statement rather than a question, but I think we've heard a lot of the facts, and I think we all know what's been going on here. So again, that's where I stand.
Thank you, Member Stratton.
Yeah.
Please do not include my name in any motion that you make.
Member Jones.
Board members, this is really a question for Cindy. And first of all, we appreciate you being here. I know this is difficult, and you know, I know your heart is in it, and your heart for the students. We know that. So just a couple questions. In your approved instructional time model, what code do you specify that you'll use for students that actually join remotely or join in a virtual setting? Do you have a specified code in there right now?
Veronica has set us up with the code for DL.
Okay. Okay. And so in the event, under a consent agreement, do you feel confident that you will be able to get the school where it needs to be able to code the DL correctly and to be able to do all the things that are necessary to meet the terms of a consent agreement?
I do. And I feel that way more so because of Veronica and Norm.
Okay.
I do feel, because it's great guidance. It's great guidance. And Veronica is helping to finish our setup of our power school. She is our contracted our analyst.
So you've surrounded yourself with the right people and you can make it happen. Thank you for that. That's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else? No? We have approximately 30 seconds to make a motion and to get a roll call vote. So do we have a motion?
Go ahead.
Oh, Member Jones.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make a motion. And the motion is for a consent agreement. So I moved to find that Southern Arizona Community Academy, hereinafter referred to as the charter holder, has failed to meet the operational performance expectations set forth in the board's operational performance framework and has violated its charter and state law concerning attendance and actions to assign, transfer, delegated duty of the charter holder, and change the ownership of officers, directors, members, or partners of the charter holder without board approval. These failures and violations provide a sufficient basis to issue a notice of intent to revoke the charter holder's contract. However, the board is authorized to exercise its legal discretion and with regards to actions taken against the charter holder that is not in compliance with its charter obligations to board and state law. In an effort to bring the charter holder into compliance, the board directs staff to work with legal counsel to develop a consent agreement that addresses the charter holder's noncompliance with the board's operational performance expectations, its charter, and state law. The board further directs staff to bring the consent agreement back to the board for consideration at a subsequent meeting. If the charter holder chooses not to accept the terms of the consent agreement developed by the board staff and the board's legal counsel, and an executed copy of the consent agreement along with the board minutes, governing board minutes approved the consent agreement are not received by the date specified by board staff, then it is the board's decision that the charter holder be placed on a future agenda for admission to issue a notice of intent to revoke the charter holder's contract for the reasons already specified.
Motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, hold up. We'll give that to Mr. Stratton because I think your mic was not on. All right. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
No.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
No.
Ms. Foster is absent, Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
No.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
No.
President Montier.
No.
We are at a tie.
Cool.
With 5 ayes.
How's that work? Motion fails?
Motion fails.
Okay.
Majority.
Do we have another motion? Well, if the motion failed, we can't do the same motion, correct?
You could try to convince your your fellow board members to get on board and change their
Or
their
2
vote
minutes
one way
over
or
for
the-
Member Snyder. And yes, we're
leave.
2 minutes over. Do we have another motion?
Yeah, this is Board Member Stratton. I will restate the prior motion in its entirety.
That was quick. All right. We have a motion made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call again, please.
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
No.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
No.
Ms. Jones,
Aye, and I'd like to state I feel confident the consent agreement can be met.
Mr. Ruiz,
I'll be the flexible one. I'll go with aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
No.
President Montier.
No.
Motion passes with majority.
Okay.
Thank you, board members.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to excuse Member Snyder, and I think Member Swanson also needs to leave. Is that correct?
We only have one more item, so.
Do we have a quorum at all? Then are we okay to finish?
I can just stay on my phone. I got to get.
Okay.
We have
All
one,
right.
but we're done.
Right. I know we only have one more item, but I just want to make sure I finish it because I, have issues apparently. I have to finish things. Okay. Moving on to agenda item K, summary of current events, future meeting dates, and items for future agendas. Ashley.
I have nothing to report.
Fantastic. We're adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.